Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Doomsday Catastrophe. Fortunately, I have a family prosperity system. Chapter 81. Aunt Xiaonuan, are we almost there? On the dilapidated road, Xia Xiaonuan was riding a motorcycle at high speed. There were many obstacles on the road, but she ran over them without even looking at them. When a motorcycle rolls over obstacles along the way, it will deviate from the direction from time to time, even causing the car to lose balance and fly out. But without exception, under Xia Xiaonuan's superb driving skills, the motorcycle will eventually return to the correct position. However, the little girl behind her felt uncomfortable. How about, you drive slower? I can't stand it anymore. Zhang Xiaonian, who was only 11 years old, was so blown away by the wind that he couldn't speak clearly. At the same time, the motorcycle swaying left and right, constantly changing positions, also made her stomach churn. Xia Xiaonuan didn't even put a helmet on her, and her chubby little face was deformed. We're almost there, just hold on a little longer, Xia Xiaonuan said without looking back, and her voice sounded dull from the helmet. And Zhang Xiaonian could hardly hear clearly in the roaring wind. She could only curse in her heart, what evil have I done? When I meet this woman, can't you let me go once? This is not the first time Xia Xiaonuan has come to her. She also knew Xia Xiaonuan's story very clearly. Xia Xiaonuan had a boyfriend who broke up under the pressure of her mother, but Xia Xiaonuan did not give up, so she took a job and went to other places to make a quick buck, hoping to use the money to give her boyfriend. He used his own betrothal gift to block his mother's mouth. But not long after she went out of town, the apocalypse came. She rushed to Chengdu at the risk of her life, but when she arrived at her boyfriend's residence, she found that her boyfriend had turned into a zombie. She reluctantly hacked her zombie boyfriend to death, and after burying him, she joined Hope City and became the city lord's confidant. This is her first experience of the apocalypse. The next few times, when she awakened her memory, people were out of town. Although she ran to Chengdu at the risk of her life, it was too late in the end. Later, she met Zhang Xiaonian. It was after the new era. After Zhang Xiaonian used the awakening gem, he actually awakened the ability to resurrect the dead. Of course, resurrecting the dead is too unnatural. Zhang Xiaonian cannot directly resurrect Xia Xiaonuan's boyfriend because there are many prerequisites that cannot be met. But Xia Xiaonuan did not give up. She believed that if she could find a golden gem and improve Zhang Xiaonian's extraordinary template, Zhang Xiaonian would definitely be able to resurrect her boyfriend. Therefore, after Xia Xiaonuan awakened her memory, she immediately went to her boyfriend's residence, hacked to death her boyfriend who turned into a zombie, and then immediately went to find Zhang Xiaonian. She did this countless times. Although she failed to resurrect her boyfriend every time, she still did it every time after awakening her memory. Zhang Xiaonian admires her infatuation, but, I'm just an 11-year-old child, why do I have to follow you through birth and death in every life? She felt extremely aggrieved. But on the surface, she had to be a well-behaved baby in front of Xia Xiaonuan. This woman is so scary. The man just said everything, but this woman killed him without mercy. Zhang Xiaonian did not dare to say anything more and buried his head on Xia Xiaonuan's back to avoid the strong wind that was roaring in front of him. Ahead, Xia Xiaonuan looked at the gate of Hope City getting closer and closer, and couldn't help but become nervous. Zhang Lin, is it really you? Her ex-boyfriend's name is Zhang Lin. But the problem is that when she came to Zhang Lin's apartment in previous lives, Zhang Lin had turned into a zombie. At the same time, there were 2 female corpses in the house that had been eaten clean. She speculated that Zhang Lin went downstairs to look for food and was accidentally injured by a zombie. After returning home, he turned into a zombie and ate his 2 roommates. According to her awakened memory, this is the case in every life. However, this time something unexpected happened. When Xia Xiaonuan arrived at Zhang Lin's apartment, she found that the house was empty. Even his 2 female roommates who lived together were missing. At that time, she searched the entire building but found no trace of Zhang Lin. Xia Xiaonuan could only think that Zhang Lin was dead. So, according to her original plan, she first rescued Zhang Xiaonian whose parents had turned into zombies. Prepare for the future resurrection of Zhang Lin. After finding Zhang Xiaonian, she took Zhang Xiaonian to Hope City. However, because she wasted too much time looking for Zhong Lin at his residence. When she was approaching Hope City, the zombie army had already begun to gather. Although Xia Xiaonuan was very strong, he could not compete with the zombie army, so he had to hide in a safe place with Zhang Xiaonian. When the zombie army dispersed, she was about to start her journey again, when she encountered a thief who wanted to steal her car. Coincidentally, the little thief was still from Hope City, so she interrogated the little thief to get information about Hope City. Then I heard Zhong Lin's name and learned about Zhong Lin's feat of single-handedly challenging the thousand-legged corpse. When she first heard Zhong Lin's name, she was very excited. In this life, her boyfriend was not dead. However, she was confused after hearing that Zhong Lin singled out and killed thousand-foot corpse. My good-for-nothing boyfriend can actually challenge a thousand-legged corpse and win. Could it be a person with the same name as my boyfriend? Xia Xiaonuan couldn't help but get entangled. She hoped that her boyfriend was not dead, but it was very difficult for her to kill the thousand-foot corpse alone. And Zhong Lin, if he had this ability, would he have turned into a zombie in his previous lives? It's not that Xia Xiaonuan looks down on her boyfriend. It's just that she knows her boyfriend. He was an orphan without any relatives. He was helpless when he was a child, but when he grew up, he had enough to eat and the whole family was not hungry. This resulted in Zhong Lin having no desire to fight at all and just dawdling around every day without caring about the world. That is to say, after being with him, he worked hard for a period of time. But his mother looked down on him as an orphan. She offered him sky-high betrothal gifts, a house in the city center and $1 million car, which scared Zhong Lin away and made him return to his previous dawdling state. It was precisely because of her mother that Xia Xiaonuan felt very guilty towards Zhong Lin, so she wanted to make some money herself, give the money to Zhong Lin, and ask him to pass it on to her mother as her betrothal gift. Can a person who has been dawdling for more than 20 years suddenly grow up to the point of killing thousands of zombies alone after the end of the world? Xia Xiaonuan didn't quite believe it. But she also hoped in her heart that Zhong Lin, who killed thousand-foot corpse alone, was indeed her boyfriend. Finally, the motorcycle arrived in front of Hope City. Many of the city lord's men are busy. The gate was knocked down by the zombie army before, and they are now repairing it. The motorcycle passed directly over the crowd and rushed straight towards the city lord's palace. The people working at the door only felt a black shadow flash in front of their eyes, and they didn't react until the sound of the motorcycle tail gradually disappeared. The first captain is back. After Xia Xiaonuan entered Hope City, she did not go to the city lord's mansion, which was the first place she went to in the past, but went straight to Villa number 16. She had already found out clearly that the man named Zhong Lin lived in Villa number 16. When he arrived at the door of number 16, Xia Xiaonuan did not see Zhong Lin, whom she had longed for, but saw two women. The two women are both excellent in appearance, but slightly different in temperament. One of them looks more majestic and has a methodical approach to her work. She is communicating with many people and seems to be choosing something among the group of women at the door. The other woman is a few years younger and taller than the first one, but has a slimmer figure. Her face is somewhat similar to the first woman's. She doesn't seem to have any independent opinions. She just helps the first woman with some chores. Listen to the first woman on everything. And Qingge, and Qingwu. Xia Xiaonuan read out the names of these two people. The person she interrogated before told all the information about Zhong Lin, including the women around him. Now she can know the identities of these two women just by looking at their features. At this moment, an unknown fire rose in Xia Xiaonuan's heart. She was so eager to see her boyfriend that she forgot about it. Zhong Lin, is that you? We haven't seen you for a while, why are you so brave? Xia Xiaonuan gritted his teeth. Immediately, she twisted the accelerator of the motorcycle wildly, and the engine made a huge roar. This huge movement attracted everyone's attention. Everyone looked back and saw a woman wearing a black leather jacket and leather pants sitting on a cool motorcycle looking at them coldly. She wore big sunglasses on her fair cheeks, covering half of her face, which added a bit of mystery to her. The motorcycle continued to roar, and the huge noise made everyone feel overwhelmed. Xia Xiaonuan stared at everyone coldly, and for a moment, the area was surrounded by a chilling air. When Qingge saw that the person was not kind, he immediately took a step forward and asked in a cold voice, Who are you? Are you here to rent a house, or are you here to stir up trouble? Xia Xiaonuan took off her sunglasses, revealing a handsome face. But at this time, this fair and delicate face was tense, and her eyes were staring at Qingge sharply. And Qingge knew immediately that this person was really coming with bad intentions. In the name of renting a house, you are actually choosing a woman for Zhang Lin, right? Xia Xiaonuan snorted coldly. And Qingge's face suddenly showed an embarrassed look. Although this is what happened, it's too ugly to say it like this, right? The women around me who came for consultation all looked unhappy. This is just like the borderline videos on Douyin. The blogger knew that she was dancing, and I also knew that I was watching her, but no one would say it out loud. Everyone knew it tacitly. The blogger said that she was dancing, and I said that I was appreciating art. Everyone's face looks good. The conditions and Qingge mentioned were first about appearance and figure, then about keeping oneself clean, and then about good conduct. Is he looking for a tenant? However, if everyone didn't explain it, it wouldn't look so ugly on the surface. But Xia Xiaonuan came and pointed it out directly. Who are you? And Qingge's face also turned cold. She could feel that it was not easy for everyone to love Xia Xiaonuan, but she was not afraid at all. Why did she work so hard to help Zhang Lin find a woman? Is it because she is cheap? The rewards are not too generous. In this period, the extraordinary template is invincible in single combat. Call Zhang Lin out and tell him that Xia Xiaonuan, the first captain of Hope City, wants to challenge him. Xia Xiaonuan's slender legs were wrapped in tight leather pants, which made them even more slender and smooth. She jumped off the motorcycle, moved her fists, and her whole body was filled with murderous aura. Originally she came to reunite with her boyfriend, but now she has changed her mind. If Zhang Lin in it is fake, anyone who dares to pretend to be my boyfriend will be beaten to death. If it's true, that cannot be taken lightly. Previously, Xia Xiaonuan thought that after the end of the world, her boyfriend could not control himself for a while, and there were one or two women, so she gritted her teeth and forgave him. After all, after the end of the world, a strong man faces too many temptations, and it is inevitable that he will be unable to control himself and make a mistake. But after the 16th, she changed her mind. There are one or two women who can be said to be temporarily unable to control themselves. But what does it mean to choose a concubine directly and openly now? Unforgivable. If this Zhang Lin is really her boyfriend, if she doesn't break his 3 legs, she won't be called Xia Xiaonuan. First captain. Not to mention that Xia Xiaonuan was furious and thinking about how to teach Zhang Lin a lesson. And Qingge was also stunned when he heard her identity. First captain, why do you want to challenge Zhang Lin? Everyone challenges from low to high. She was the first to challenge the second, and there was no benefit from winning. Why on earth? Why are you stunned? Why don't you go and ask Zhang Lin to come out? Seeing Qingge's indifference, Xia Xiaonuan immediately shouted sharply. Xiao Wu, you go back and hide for a while. And Qingge patted his afraid sister on the shoulder, then took a step forward and shouted coldly, is this a challenge? If you want to challenge my man, you must win first before I do it. Her current strength, even if she does not reveal her extraordinary abilities, is far from comparable to others. Xia Xiaonuan was so arrogant when he arrived, which made Qingge feel a little angry. She decided to teach this woman a lesson herself without bothering Zhang Lin. You, Xia Xiaonuan looked at her disdainfully. In her opinion, what could a person who was so shameless and helped his man choose women be capable of? It's me, wouldn't you dare? And Qingge asked in a provocative tone. Ha ha, Xia Xiaonuan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Very good, come on, I'll operate on you first. Zhang Xiaonuan, who was still sitting on the back seat of the motorcycle, couldn't help but tremble. She knew Xia Xiaonuan very well. She looked like she was obviously murderous. So, she quietly got off the motorcycle and hid behind the motorcycle. At this time, there were gradually more people around. There were originally a lot of people watching the excitement nearby. After all, the people Qingge chose were all beauties. Men just like to look at beautiful women. Unexpectedly, the first captain Xia Xiaonuan suddenly appeared and wanted to challenge Zhang Lin, but Zhang Lin's woman took the challenge. This is really exciting. Some people even started inviting friends over. The duel between the two captains is not only exciting, but may also change the future structure of Hope City. And when more and more people gathered around them, and Qingge and Sha Xiaonuan couldn't help it anymore. The more these two women looked at each other, the more disgusted they became, and they both wanted to kill each other inside. And Qingge took out his Hongying spear. Sha Xiaonuan only put on a pair of leather gloves studded with rivets, and the two of them stared at each other. Then, each launched his most ferocious attack. What? Xiaoxia went to challenge Zhang Lin. The city lord quickly got the news and was surprised. Although he planned to provoke competition between Sha Xiaonuan and Zhang Lin, making the two feel pressured and grow rapidly, and even planned to join forces with Sha Xiaonuan to suppress Zhang Lin's arrogance, but he never expected that Sha Xiaonuan would directly challenge Zhang Lin on the first day he came to Hope City. No, I have to intervene. With Xiaoxia's current strength, he is no match for Zhang Lin. The city lord's expression changed. He immediately stood up and hurried towards the direction of Villa number 16. On the other side, Zhang Lin himself was upstairs in Villa number 16, and he got the news faster than the city lord. But he didn't go downstairs. Instead, he stood upstairs, watching the fight between the two women below, and felt very headache. She is actually the first captain of Hope City. Zhang Lin felt his head buzzing when he saw the woman below, who was wearing a leather jacket, had a heroic appearance, and was full of free and uninhibited temperament. Brother Lin, do you know the first captain? On the side, Ji Yutong asked curiously. She naturally knew Sha Xiaonuan, but she never expected that Zhang Lin and Sha Xiaonuan also knew each other. Moreover, judging from Zhang Lin's appearance, the relationship between the two seems to be a bit unusual. She is my ex-girlfriend, Zhang Lin said in a complicated tone. Once, we had reached the stage of discussing marriage, but we did not get together in the end. Why? Ji Yutong asked curiously, her eyes shining with gossip. Zhang Lin did not answer directly, but fell into memories. As Sha Xiaonuan realized, Zhang Lin has always been relatively withdrawn due to his origin as an orphan. Sha Xiaonuan's personality is completely different from Zhang Lin's. Zhang Lin is not interested in anything and is too lazy to pursue anything. Before the end of the world, he felt that he and sisters and Qingge and Qingwu were not from the same world, so he simply stopped communicating and lived together like strangers. As for Sha Xiaonuan, this woman is very persistent. If she likes something, she will be very persistent in getting it. When she was in school, she wanted to be number 1 in the exam, so she studied hard 24 hours a day and eventually became number 1 in the school. After she started working, if she wanted to be promoted, she worked hard, and even directly found excuses for her boss to force him to resign. At that time, Zhang Lin joined the company earlier than her. As a result, she became Zhang Lin's immediate boss within 2 months of joining the company. It stands to reason that Zhang Lin's personality is completely different from hers. The two of them are not from the same world at all, and there is no way they can get together. But Sha Xiaonuan's preferences are different. Zhang Lin usually keeps a low profile. After completing his work tasks every day, he just fishes and hangs around without any sense of existence. But she just fell in love with Zhang Lin. With her strong character, if Zhang Lin dared to refuse at that time, he would lose his job the next day. And, although Sha Xiaonuan is a bit more powerful, she looks handsome and behaves coolly. She is completely different from ordinary women. For Zhang Lin, it is not a bad thing for Sha Xiaonuan to take the initiative to serve the ball. He didn't even think about refusing at the time. The two soon lived together and talked about getting married, but Sha Xiaonuan was too good and Zhang Lin was too salty, so her family disagreed. At that time, Zhang Lin was also overwhelmed by Sha Xiaonuan's strength. In addition, after living together for a period of time, she had done what she had to do and the novelty was gone. Zhang Lin happened to take advantage of her mother's big talk. He pretended to be shocked and broke up with her. Then Zhang Lin changed jobs, rented a new house, and became colleagues and roommates with Qingge. Zhang Lin originally thought that he and Sha Xiaonuan would be in different worlds from now on, but he didn't expect that they would meet again after the apocalypse. She also came to the door. Brother Lin, why don't you go and take care of it? Ji Yutong saw that Zhang Lin didn't want to talk about the past, so he stopped asking, and instead talked about downstairs. The more they fight, the more fierce they become. Zhang Lin also looked downstairs. The battle between Qingge and Sha Xiaonuan had reached a fever pitch. Both of them were injured. So far, they were very balanced and no one was seriously injured. Of course, this is the reason why Chingay didn't use other extraordinary abilities except that passive one. That is to say, Xia Xiaonuan has too much fighting experience, while Chingay has too little fighting experience, otherwise she would be able to defeat Xia Xiaonuan just relying on her physical fitness and the passiveness of Wind Dancer. It's okay for now. Zhang Lin looked at the scene below, rubbed his forehead and said, I'll take a look again. He really didn't want to go down. Although he was now much stronger than Xia Xiaonuan, he really didn't want to fight Xia Xiaonuan. Although Xia Xiaonuan has a strong personality, she is also really good to Zhang Lin. Zhang Lin was short of money for a period of time, and she had to support Zhang Lin with her own money. At that time, the two had broken up. If it weren't for her character, Zhang Lin would really be willing to spend his life with such a woman. Do you have such a headache? Ji Yutong really wanted to laugh when he saw Zhang Lin like this. Before, Zhang Lin acted like a scumbag to both her and the sisters. And Chingay liked him so much that when he slept with him and his twin sisters, he didn't hesitate at all, and he didn't even know how to persuade him. He accepted Chingay and Qingwu. As a result, he also has a woman he can't handle. I'll rub it for you. But on the surface, Ji Yutong was very gentle, standing behind Zhang Lin, letting Zhang Lin's head rest on his chest, and rubbing his temples with a pair of small hands. Now he really has become a scumbag. Two women were fighting over him downstairs, but he was leaning into the woman's soft embrace, enjoying a gentle massage. Forget it, I'd better go down. It's not Zhang Lin's character to keep running away. He mustered up the energy to leave Wenru's embrace and walked downstairs resolutely. Xiaonuan, Qingzhe, stop it. Outside the first floor, Zhang Lin shouted to Zhang Lin loudly. And Qingzhe stopped her hand the moment she heard the voice. She was still very convinced of Zhang Lin. But when Xia Xiaonuan saw Zhang Lin, she couldn't help it. Her eyes turned red instantly. She ignored Qingzhe and went straight to Zhang Lin, you scumbag, die. When Qingzhe saw her taking action against Zhang Lin, he immediately became anxious and stabbed him from behind, aiming directly at the heart. Xia Xiaonuan, however, was too excited and only had Zhang Lin in her eyes. She just wanted to teach this scumbag a lesson, but she completely ignored what was going on behind her. At this time, the city lord also felt it. Seeing this scene, he immediately became anxious and shouted quickly, Xiaoxia, behind you. Xia Xiaonuan heard the voice of the city lord, and she immediately looked back, only to see that the sharp tip of the spear was almost in contact with her back. Overturned. This was Xia Xiaonuan's only thought at this time. In the new era, the famous first captain of Hope City died like this at the end of the Resident Evil crisis. The city lord's eyes were also splitting, but because of the distance, he could only watch helplessly and had no choice. He and Xia Xiaonuan have been together for so long, and their friendship is very deep. For the future of mankind, he can accept that Xia Xiaonuan has an accident in the competition with Zhang Lin. But, this way of death now. Isn't it too frustrating? If you die at the end of the Resident Evil crisis, all the great potential for future development is gone. But in fact, all this was under Zhang Lin's control. At this time, Xia Xiaonuan was already in front of him. When he saw Qingzhe stabbing him with a spear, he immediately protected Xia Xiaonuan, turned around, and endured this attack by force. One shot. Puff. A spear pierced Zhang Lin's back, and blood flowed down the tip of the spear, but was absorbed by the red tassel at the tip of the spear. Zhang Lin. Qingzhe was stunned. She saw Xia Xiaonuan take action against Zhang Lin, and this time it was a killing blow, shooting Xia Xiaonuan straight into the heart from the back. As a result, the shot was blocked by Zhang Lin. How could she accept this? The city lord was also stunned. In his imagination, Zhang Lin and Xia Xiaonuan would be competitors in the future, fighting for life and death. Why is Zhang Lin still sacrificing his life to save others now? This is not Zhang Lin's character. The last person who saw that Zhang Lin was injured was Xia Xiaonuan. She was held in Zhang Lin's arms. The familiar warm embrace made her feel a little dazed for a moment. When she came back to her senses, she heard Qingzhe's exclamation. Only then did she realize that it was Zhang Lin who had blocked the shot for herself. Are you okay? She quickly broke away from Zhang Lin's arms and went to check Zhang Lin's wounds. Get out of here. And Qingge threatened with a gun and an angry look on his face. Stay away from Zhonglin. It's you who should get out of here, right? Sha Xiaonuan immediately counterattacked. If something happens to Zhonglin, I will make you die. The two women looked at each other with sparks in their eyes. They were like two firecrackers, ready to fight at any time. Zhonglin said weakly at this time, have you made enough trouble? You have to wait for me to die before you can be happy, right? Where's your treasure that can heal injuries? Take it out and use it for yourself. And Qingge ignored Sha Xiaonuan and quickly stepped forward to support Zhonglin and looked at his injured two-color bracelet. Ahem, I ran out of energy last night. Zhonglin lied calmly. Ah, and Qingge couldn't help but was stunned. She was shy and anxious. How did she use up her energy last night? It wasn't because she was having too much fun and she couldn't bear it. It was used to restore her body. But now that there is no energy, how can we recover from the wound caused by this shot? Help me back to the house first. Zhonglin's face was as pale as paper. How does it look to make such a big fuss and let so many people watch? I'll help you into the house. Sha Xiaonuan didn't care about competing with Qingge and immediately helped Zhonglin into the house. And Qingge immediately followed and entered the house together. Outside, a group of melon-eating people looked on stupidly. What's going on? Didn't it mean that the first captain challenged Zhonglin? Why did she suddenly start a fight with Zhonglin's woman? Moreover, Zhonglin's woman was so powerful that she was evenly matched with the first captain. Then why did Zhonglin suddenly get injured while saving the first captain? Stop looking, what's there to see? Ji Yutong ran out. She was not in a hurry. When she just entered the room, she saw Zhonglin snickering. City Lord, please help me drive away the people nearby. She ran to the City Lord and begged. The City Lord was also very confused at this time, and he couldn't understand it at all. But at this time, Zhonglin was injured and Sha Xiaonuan also entered the house. He couldn't let so many people surround him outside. It was not safe. What if someone thought about the injured Zhonglin? Zhonglin is also one of the people he focuses on training. He will not watch Zhonglin die in vain. Everyone go back. The City Lord turned around and ordered everyone, stay away from the vicinity of number 16, and don't delay Captain Zhang's recovery. The City Lord gave the order and the people watching the excitement had no choice but to disperse. But behind the scenes, people are still talking about the relationship between Zhonglin and the first captain. Inside the house, Zhonglin was lying on the sofa, with blood flowing from his wounds, but he was not in a hurry to heal himself. The energy of the yin and yang magic circle has been accumulated for so long, and it will not be used up in one night. He just doesn't want to heal himself. With his super strong physique, this aspect looks very scary, but in fact he is very capable of deceit. He was taller than Sha Xiaonuan, and Qingge's shot was aimed at Sha Xiaonuan's heart, but when it hit him, it was no longer at the heart, and it was fatal. Sha Xiaonuan was a very important woman to him. He was relieved when they broke up before, but now that they met again, Zhonglin suddenly found that he missed the days with her. Of course, unlike in the past, Zhonglin will be on the strong side this time. He also knew Sha Xiaonuan's character, and he was indeed a bit messy now. With Qingge and the others not to mention, they even wanted to select concubines. Although it was for system rewards, Zhonglin Shuang was really happy. Now let him go back to his old days of being a bachelor, and he wouldn't be able to survive. It's hard to go from luxury to frugality. In order to make Sha Xiaonuan accept what he did and return to him, Zhonglin decided to play a bitter trick. Moreover, this is still a fish that eats too. And Qingge was not a light-hearted person either. She was gentle to Zhonglin, a good wife and mother, but Ji Yutong told Zhonglin how and Qingge threatened her. She is very strong towards others. How could she and Sha Xiaonuan get along peacefully without playing a cruel trick? Zhonglin, let me stop the bleeding from your wound first. Sha Xiaonuan was silent for a long time. Before, she was angrily wanting to give Zhonglin a lesson, but at this time, she had no such idea at all. When she found Zhonglin in previous lives, he was in a zombie state. It was not easy to see her boyfriend alive this time. Could she just watch him die? And Qingge was really murderous at that time. He fired with all his strength without any mercy. That is to say, Zhonglin's physique is relatively strong, otherwise the gun would have penetrated from his back to his chest. I may not be able to survive. Zhang Lin's voice was low and intermittent. Before I die, can you promise me one thing? Impossible, you won't die. Xia Xiaonuan has been through many battles and has experienced all kinds of injuries. But now that Zhang Lin was injured, she was even more panicked than when she was injured. Otherwise, she would have been shocked at the first sight. You know, this injury is not fatal to Zhang Lin at all. But at this time, she was completely panicked. As soon as Zhang Lin said that she was going to die, her brain suddenly became dizzy and she completely lost her ability to think. And Qingge stood aside without saying a word, feeling full of guilt. This shot was hers. She couldn't imagine how she would survive if Zhang Lin died. Zhang Lin was not only her man, but also her sister's man. Ji Yutong had already walked in at this time. After driving away the city lord and all the other people, she came back immediately. She received a message on her mobile phone and Zhang Lin asked her to cooperate. Humph, I hope there is a local area network in the city and you can still send me messages. Otherwise, I'll see what you do. She snorted unhappily in her heart. She is also Zhang Lin's woman, but now she has to help Zhang Lin get another woman, so her mood is naturally not good. But Zhang Lin had already spoken, and she didn't dare to refuse at all. Oh, don't be so hasty. Ji Yutong pushed away the two women surrounding Zhang Lin. Zhang Lin has a very strong physique and won't die in a while, but if you keep watching, it will delay the best. Healing period. Yes, treatment. Xia Xiaonuan reacted immediately. I know first aid, bring me some clean cotton cloth and hemostatic medicine. People who often hang out in the apocalypse are good at various first aid methods. Xia Xiaonuan was too anxious just now and forgot all about it. I'm here to save Zhang Lin, get out of my way. And Qingge had already come over with bandages and medicine. After she heard Ji Yutong's words, she immediately took action. After all, this was her home and she knew exactly where the things were. Moreover, she didn't trust Xia Xiaonuan, and of course she didn't want Xia Xiaonuan to touch Zhang Lin. Coincidentally, Xia Xiaonuan didn't trust Qingge either. She felt that she was the only one who wholeheartedly cared about Zhang Lin. These bad women may be looking forward to Zhang Lin's death so that they can inherit Zhang Lin's legacy. For a moment, the two women refused to give way to each other, glaring at each other with murderous intent in their eyes. The surrounding temperature seemed to have increased a bit. You guys are not allowed to argue. Zhang Lin was speechless, meaning that he was just pretending. If this was true, he might really be delayed in the best time for treatment. It seems that the problems between them must be resolved properly, and they must be allowed to get along with each other as a family in the future. In this way, if they are really injured in the future, they will not fight over who saves them. I said before that I want you to promise me something. If you don't agree, I would rather bleed to death without treatment. Zhang Lin looked down on life and death, his eyes very firm. And Qingge immediately stopped arguing with Xia Xiaonuan. She stepped forward and held Zhang Lin's hand. No matter what it is, I agree, as long as you heal your wounds. Xia Xiaonuan felt something was wrong in her heart, but when she saw that Zhang Lin's wound was still bleeding, she had no choice but to suppress it and said, you must not make fun of your body. If there is any problem, we will solve it later. Quote. She had spent a long time with Zhang Lin, and she could probably guess what Zhang Lin wanted to say. No, you must promise me now, or you will watch me die. Zhang Lin said, feeling a little sick. Isn't this the plot of an idle drama? In the past, if he saw this kind of plot on Douyin, he wouldn't be able to eat it without saying a few words, but now he has staged it himself. But for the sake of a better life in the future, he could only suppress his nausea and continue acting firmly. He sat up excitedly and touched the wound. His face suddenly turned pale with pain and the blood flowed faster. Okay, I promise you, no matter who it is, I will stop the bleeding from your wound first. Xia Xiaonuan was also anxious and agreed immediately. No rush, Zhang Lin said weakly. What I want you to agree to is that you two are not allowed to fight in the future and must live in peace. Do you agree? Promise. X2. The two of them looked at Zhang Lin's blood flowing loudly, as if the wound was on their own body. How dare they say anything else at this time? Yutong, come and bandage Zhang Lin's wound. And Qingge didn't trust Xia Xiaonuan and was afraid that Xia Xiaonuan would not want to do it herself, thus delaying time, so she appointed Ji Yutong to treat Zhang Lin's wound. Ji Yutong looked at Zhang Lin with some hesitation, but she knew that Zhang Lin was fine at all, and it was a simple wound to deal with. Why are you stunned? Sha Xiaonuan saw that she was stunned and immediately became anxious. If something happens to Zhang Lin, I will let you be buried with him. Ji Yutong really wanted to curse. Go up and do it. I'm afraid that the acting is not real enough and mess up Zhang Lin's affairs. If you don't go up and bandage it, Sha Xiaonuan will kill herself. She hesitated and could only step forward to get bandages and medicine to help Zhang Lin stop the bleeding. Zhang Lin cooperated now and let Ji Yutong apply medicine and bandage honestly. After she finished, Zhang Lin said, "Okay, the rest of you should go back to your room first. I just have Xiao Nuan and Qing Jie staying with me." The worried and Qingwu and the twin sisters who were upstairs observing the situation downstairs all returned to the house honestly. Ji Yutong also returned to his room obediently. She doesn't want to get involved in the affairs of these three people at all. They are all ruthless people and will kill people if they don't understand. She felt that she could just be Zhang Lin's little toy, and if this happened again in the future, she should let others do it. Now, Zhang Lin and two women are the only ones left in the living room on the second floor. Now that Zhang Lin is out of danger, the two of them are glaring at each other. If they weren't afraid of accidentally injuring Zhang Lin in a fight, they would probably have taken action. Zhang Lin was lying on the sofa. He knew the situation of the two of them without looking, so he immediately said, "You promised me, you are not allowed to fight, and you must get along well." Zhang Lin, who is she? And Qingge did not look at Sha Xiaonuan, but sat next to Zhang Lin and gently put his head on her lap to make him more comfortable. Sha Xiaonuan rolled her eyes, but with her character, she couldn't do such a thing. "Tell her who I am." She snorted coldly, with great arrogance. "Let me introduce you to each other." Zhang Lin was very calm, lying on Qingge's plump and soft thighs, and said, "This is Qingge, my wife." Hearing this, Qingge instantly looked at Sha Xiaonuan, his eyes full of pride. Sha Xiaonuan was immediately furious and asked in a cold voice, "Then who am I?" "Ex-girlfriend," Zhang Lin said to her first, and then said to Qingge, "My ex-girlfriend Sha Xiaonuan." Ex-girlfriend, Sha Xiaonuan suddenly became furious, who agreed to break up. Zhang Lin was still very calm. "You didn't agree, but when your mother and I agreed, didn't you go out of town? Isn't this a signal to break up?" "I went to another place." Sha Xiaonuan wanted to say her reasons when she heard this, but she stopped mid-sentence. With her character, she was never too lazy to explain, so she didn't say anything before. To say it at this point is like making excuses for myself. She didn't explain at all. She stared at Zhang Lin with a pair of bright black eyes and said, "Just tell me, how are you going to deal with our relationship now? If you dissatisfy me, I will kill you, then commit suicide and go on the road with you." That is to say, Zhang Lin is injured now, otherwise according to Sha Xiaonuan's character, she might have taken action now. Zhang Lin naturally knew this, so he took the initiative to get injured and used this painful trick. Zhang Lin struggled to get up and said seriously, "Although we have broken up, we can get back together if you are willing." "That's pretty much it." Sha Xiaonuan showed a satisfied look, then pointed at Qingge, "Get away from me and don't touch my boyfriend. For his sake, I won't kill you, but don't let me see you again." Qingge rolled his eyes at her angrily. She knew Zhang Lin too well and understood what he meant. "Listen to me first." Zhang Lin took Qingge's hand and stroked it gently to comfort him, and continued to say to Sha Xiaonuan, "But, you have also seen that I have several women now. Let's get back together. You can't embarrass them. From now on, we will get along well as a family." Zhang Lin. Sha Xiaonuan jumped up immediately. She was so angry that her voice became sharp. "You can do it. Are you so brave now? Why didn't I see that you were so big-hearted before? What's your name?" Qingge raised an eyebrow and said coldly, "If you don't want to, the door is downstairs, you can just leave." Sha Xiaonuan was really angry. She punched the coffee table and said loudly, "It's you who should get out. Get out of here right now, or I'll kill you all. Try it." Qingge refused to be outdone and directly picked up his red tassel spear. "Okay, you all sit down." Zhang Lin said angrily, "What did you promise me just now? If you dare to fight, I will die for you now." This woman is so ungrateful. And Chingay said aggrievedly, but still sat down beside Zhang Lin honestly. She really didn't want Xia Xiaonuan to stay. Unlike other women, she could tell at a glance that this Xia Xiaonuan was not a fuel-saving lamp, but someone who could really threaten her position as eldest sister. But Zhang Lin spoke, and although she was unhappy, she could only accept Xia Xiaonuan. Xia Xiaonuan didn't even look at Chingay, she just glared at Zhang Lin. What on earth do you mean? In fact, of course she understood what Zhang Lin meant. However, she really couldn't accept it in her heart. She, Xia Xiaonuan, would not share a man with anyone else. Chingay, you go out first, I'll talk to Xiaonuan. Zhang Lin patted Chingay's butt and said. And Chingay glanced at Xia Xiaonuan, snorted coldly, and turned around to go back to the house. She wished that Xia Xiaonuan would leave quickly if she couldn't accept it. Zhang Lin and Chingay were the only two people left in the living room. Zhang Lin didn't hide it from Xia Xiaonuan and directly told Chingay what he had said before. He even told Chingay about the family's prosperous system, so naturally he would not hide it from Xia Xiaonuan. Moreover, Xia Xiaonuan would not accept the current situation if she did not tell this secret. What the hell? When Xia Xiaonuan heard about the rewards for marrying a wife and having children, she felt numb. Her face was full of shock. How could there be such a thing? You wouldn't lie to me, would you? When have I lied to you? Zhang Lin said this with confidence. He rarely lies, especially to those around him. Xia Xiaonuan's personality is different from Chingay's. Chingay directly accepted the settings of Zhang Lin's system and took the initiative to help Zhang Lin choose a woman, but Xia Xiaonuan didn't know how. Very firmly, follow me from now on. With my strength, I can guarantee that you and I will live happily in the apocalypse. Hee. Of course Zhang Lin couldn't agree to this. Not to mention that he was not used to being protected by women, but now that he was used to this kind of life, he would go to live alone with Xia Xiaonuan. He can't do it. It's hard to go from luxury to frugality. You don't agree. When Xia Xiaonuan saw Zhang Lin's attitude, her eyebrows suddenly stood up and she became angry. Do you think I'm not strong enough? Believe it or not, you can't even beat Chingay. Zhang Lin said calmly. Xia Xiaonuan couldn't stand this anger, and immediately shouted, call that fool out, and I'll fight her again. Do you think I won't kill her? Zhang Lin chuckled. When she fought you before, she didn't use her extraordinary abilities. That's why you and her are evenly matched. What would you do if she used her extraordinary abilities? Nonsense. In this period, how can anyone have any powerful extraordinary abilities? Xia Xiaonuan curled her lips disdainfully. Doesn't she know that at this stage, there are finally some zombie-type extraordinary templates that can be used, but there are very few people who choose zombie-type extraordinary templates, and not everyone can successfully awaken. Besides, the strength of the zombie template is very low. Even though she has not awakened the extraordinary template now, she is not afraid at all. Zhang Lin didn't say much to her and directly activated the dragon power skill on her. A dragon's roar full of majesty and anger sounded faintly, and a terrifying aura was attached to his body out of thin air. Xia Xiaonuan only felt a pressure on her face, as if there was something fatal in front of her eyes. At the same time, her heart was palpitating, which made her brain confused and she wanted to run away full of fear. She had a temper that refused to admit defeat. She gritted her teeth and resisted the urge to escape. After a second or two, she regained her senses. But the deep palpitations and Zhang Lin's frightening aura were still there, disturbing her thoughts. Xia Xiaonuan can now exert less than half of his strength. She was extremely shocked, her bright eyes widened to their maximum size, and an idea appeared in her mind that she didn't want to admit. That's right, the ability of extraordinary templates. My 3 women and I have all awakened the legendary templates. Zhang Lin said calmly. Xia Xiaonuan suddenly realized that what Zhang Lin said before was indeed not a boast, and that she really might not be able to beat that named Chingay. I don't care. I don't accept it anyway. You must let those women go away immediately, or you won't come to me in the future. Xia Xiaonuan couldn't stand it anymore, threatened him without any threat, turned around and ran away. Zhang Lin looked at her back and was not in a hurry to chase her. He sat comfortably on the sofa. He understood Xia Xiaonuan. She was just trying to save her face, otherwise, according to her character, Zhang Lin would have been beaten half to death. Now, if it is almost cooked, she will accept it as well as Chingay if she has some snacks later. Later, Zhang Lin called Chingay out and asked her to continue her business of recruiting tenants outside. Sha Xiaonuan, you don't care about her anymore? Chingay asked with a bit of joy. She really didn't like Sha Xiaonuan, a woman. Don't worry, I can't run away. Zhang Lin smiled confidently, stood up and kissed her. Things outside are more important. We need new rewards. Xiaoya and Xiaohui haven't awakened yet. Qingyi's face turned dark immediately. She didn't know that getting rewards was all an excuse, and Zhang Lin was enjoying it. But he still had to help him. Scumbag. After cursing, she pushed Zhang Lin away, then went outside to continue selecting suitable candidates for Zhang Lin. Before Qingay went out, Sha Xiaonuan left villa number 16 angrily and went straight to her motorcycle. When she saw Zhang Xiaonuan sitting blankly on the back seat of the motorcycle, she was furious. What are you doing standing around here? Don't you know how to go back and cook the food first? Zhang Xiaonuan, I'm only 11 years old. Do you think you can't live too well? But she didn't dare to say anything else, and said with a smile, Auntie, what do you want to eat? I will cook it for you when I go back. You don't know what I like to eat. Sha Xiaonuan was like a bomb about to explode at this moment, getting angry at anyone he caught. The main reason is that she has never regarded Zhang Xiaonuan as a child. The main reason is that when she first met Zhang Xiaonuan was already 17 or 18. Moreover, Zhang Xiaonuan has also awakened her previous memories. Now speaking, she is just like a child physically, but is very mature mentally. I know, I remember everything you like to eat. How dare Zhang Xiaonuan say anything? She knew what was going on. Sha Xiaonuan has found the boyfriend she has been looking for, but the bad news is that the hot man has a new love, and there are more than one. What's more important is that Sha Xiaonuan took action personally and failed to deal with him. Awesome. Zhang Xiaonuan really admires the man named Zhang Lin. Even a tigress like Sha Xiaonuan can't do anything to him. How awesome he is. Sha Xiaonuan rode a bicycle and took Zhang Xiaonuan back to villa number 1. After finishing the meal, Zhang Xiaonuan took the initiative to stand up and wash the pots and dishes, and then cleaned up the restaurant. After finishing everything, she came to Sha Xiaonuan, rubbed her back and legs. Auntie, the city lord said before leaving, let me come find him when you have time. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Sha Xiaonuan's eyebrows straightened up. Zhang Xiaonuan wanted to say, since your boyfriend is not dead, then just let me go. But she thought about it carefully. Maybe one day Sha Xiaonuan couldn't hold it back and beat her boyfriend to death, and maybe she would be used at that time. She was silent. The future is dark. Stay at home and I'll go find the city lord. Sha Xiaonuan left without looking back. After a while, city lord. Sha Xiaonuan broke into the city lord's bedroom directly. None of the guards in the city lord's mansion stopped him. Everyone knew that the first captain had a close relationship with the city lord. She went directly to the living area of the city lord, who was sitting in the living room, still wearing a large robe covering his whole body, with a silver-white mask on his face, full of mystery. Are you looking for me? She sat down on the sofa opposite the city lord and asked directly. She was in a bad mood now and was too lazy to make any twists and turns. What's your relationship with Zhang Lin? The city lord was also very direct. He had previously planned to join forces with Sha Xiaonuan to suppress Zhang Lin, otherwise Zhang Lin would be too arrogant and would not take him as the city lord seriously. But just now he saw with his own eyes that Zhang Lin blocked Sha Xiaonuan's fatal shot. What's the connection? He was a little worried. Sha Xiaonuan was already irritated. The city lord had a lot of headaches about her before. That is to say, they got along more and had a deep friendship between them. Sha Xiaonuan slowly became more obedient this time. Unexpectedly, there is a more thorny Zhang Lin now. If these two people get together, the city lord couldn't even imagine the consequences. It doesn't matter. Sha Xiaonuan's face instantly turned cold. After speaking, he emphasized, I have nothing to do with him. Then, he actually blocked the gun for you. The city lord naturally didn't believe it. Sha Xiaonuan said coldly, he's a fool. City lord. He really didn't understand it. However, it would be nice to know that Sha Xiaonuan will not join forces with Zhang Lin. That's good, I have something to tell you. The city lord immediately said, "This Zhonglin has some strength of his own, but now there are faint signs of disobedience to my control. I need you to work with me to let him know who is the boss in this Hope City." When Sha Xiaonuan heard this, a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes, then he endured it and said calmly, "Okay, I will follow your arrangement." The city lord was overjoyed. He stood up and patted her shoulder. "I knew you were more reliable, Xiaoxia. However, I just need to teach him a little lesson. He is a guy with great potential, and I have plans to train him." Quote. The murderous intention in Sha Xiaonuan's heart has lessened a lot, but she is even more upset. Even though Zhonglin is such a scumbag, she still thinks about Zhonglin. The city lord is her old friend. The reason why she has been able to reach this point is because of the city lord's strong support. You can hear that he is going to take action against Zhonglin, and she wants to kill the city lord at that moment. That is to say, she knew that she was no match for the city lord, so she endured it forcefully. Mad, I'm such an idiot. She cursed in her mind and didn't bother to talk to the city lord anymore. She stood up and said coldly, "I'll go back if nothing happens." The city lord was also very helpless towards her. This girl was good at everything, but why was she so withdrawn? She was even more withdrawn than Zhonglin. Villa number 1. Zhonglin climbed directly through the window and came in. The iron needs to be struck while it is hot. If he didn't make Sha Xiaonuan docile now, it would be difficult to make her obedient in the future, so Zhonglin came directly to the door. As a result, he searched around but couldn't find Sha Xiaonuan. Zhonglin was wondering. Suddenly, he felt something cold and hard pressing against his back. "Don't move, or I'll kill you." A young female voice came from behind. Zhang Xiaonian stood on tiptoes, and the dagger in her hand was about to reach Zhonglin's waist and abdomen. Otherwise, she would have wanted to aim at Zhonglin's heart. Child, Zhonglin was really puzzled. How could there be children in Sha Xiaonuan's place? He had never seen a person hiding behind Sha Xiaonuan's motorcycle before. "Kid, has anyone ever told you that it's not safe for you to threaten an adult like this?" After saying that, he turned around without paying any attention to the dagger in Zhang Xiaonian's hand, and snatched the dagger away. Then he looked at her with a smile. "Master." Zhang Xiaonian looked bitter. Although she is young, she is very experienced in combat. If she were an ordinary person, she would not be able to take the dagger away directly. "Who are you?" Zhonglin asked curiously. In fact, what kind of master was he? He just relied on his rough skin and thick flesh to not be afraid of daggers, so he dared to take it directly. Zhang Xiaonian said nothing and looked at Zhonglin warily. She was ready to go to sleep, but she didn't expect to hear any movement and came out to find Zhonglin. Although she was young, she was very courageous. She didn't know what the intruder's purpose was, so she struck first. Unexpectedly, Zhonglin didn't care about the dagger in her hand and snatched it away with one move. Zhang Xiaonian missed Sha Xiaonuan very much at this time. "Aunt Xiaonuan, come back soon." Suddenly, she was stunned for a moment. In the dark night, she didn't see Zhonglin's face clearly at first, but now that the two were face to face, she finally saw it clearly. Isn't this Sha Xiaonuan's playboy boyfriend? What is his purpose? Could it be that he had some irreconcilable conflict with Sha Xiaonuan because of his love and hatred, so he came to commit murder under the cover of night? That myself. Zhang Xiaonian's mind was racing with thoughts. She was still young and didn't want to die. At the critical moment, she finally thought of a way to survive. She immediately put on a cute look, stared at Zhonglin with her big eyes. "Dad, are you here to see Mom?" Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Zhonglin, who are you? Zhonglin was stunned for a while. She called herself Daddy, and her mother must be talking about Sha Xiaonuan. But this age doesn't seem to match. "Dad, my name is Zhang Xiaonian, and I am your daughter." Zhang Xiaonian hugged one of Zhonglin's legs and cried, "My mother and I have been looking for you for a long time. Where did you come from?" Zhonglin's face turned dark, and he directly picked up Zhang Xiaonian by the collar. "Are you 10 years old or older? Xiaonuan is only 23 this year. She gave birth to you when she was 13. Zhang Xiaonian. She really didn't know Sha Xiaonuan's age. After all, Sha Xiaonuan usually didn't tell her this. She also knew that Sha Xiaonuan was very young, but she didn't expect him to be so young. "Ah, you listen to my quibble. Bah, listen to my explanation. Zhang Xiaonian said quickly. I was adopted by my mother, and she asked me to take your last name because I thought you were dead, but she was here to continue your legacy. This is somewhat reasonable. Zhang Lin touched his chin. Zhang Xiaonian breathed a sigh of relief. He probably won't die now, right? Even if the conflict between the two people is great, Zhang Lin probably won't do anything to a child like him, especially since he now recognizes him as his godfather. Where is Xiao Nuan? Zhang Lin asked as he put her down. The city lord asked him to leave. Zhang Xiaonian said, deliberately acting cute, holding Zhang Lin's arm and looking up at him, Dad, what do you want to do with Mom? She is still not sure what Zhang Lin is here for. But when Xia Xiaonuan left Zhang Lin's house before, she was very angry. Zhang Xiaonian knew that she must have been unhappy with Zhang Lin. And Zhang Lin sneaked over again in the dark. Poor Zhang Xiaonian grew up in the apocalypse. He had experienced a lot of killing and deception, but he didn't know much about things between men and women. In her mind, what else can she do if she sneaks in the middle of the night but kills people? But she didn't know that there were many things she could do at night. Naturally, Zhang Lin would not tell a child what he was going to do, so he laughed and said, just have a chat with her. Haha. Of course Zhang Xiaonian didn't believe it, but on the surface he could only continue to be cute and pretend to be stupid. Dad, sit here and I'll make you some tea, okay? So good. Zhang Lin was a little surprised and reached out to rub her hair. Go ahead and let me try the tea made by my good daughter. He now really thinks that Zhang Xiaonian was adopted by Xia Xiaonuan. After all, Xia Xiaonuan would not take care of a child for no reason. And her surname is Zhang. The tea is on the first floor. I'll get it for Dad. Zhang Xiaonian let go of Zhang Lin's arm and ran to the first floor. Then, holding his breath and concentrating, he quietly opened the door and slipped out. Oh my God, I was scared to death. Fortunately, I ran out smartly. Zhang Xiaonian ran several hundred meters away before stopping, breathing heavily. After a while, she held on to the tree and thought about a question. Should I ask Xia Xiaonuan to tell her so that she can be prepared? She actually wanted to run away, but she was worried about being caught by Xia Xiaonuan again. What are you going to tell me? It happened that Xia Xiaonuan came home at this time, saw Zhang Xiaonian, and heard her words, so he came over directly and picked her up by her collar, squinting his eyes and asking murderously. Said, you want to run? No, absolutely not. Zhang Xiaonian was almost frightened to death and said quickly, Auntie, your ex-boyfriend came here. I was afraid that he would be bad for you, so I ran out secretly to report the news to you. Quote, he's here. Xia Xiaonuan's attitude became gentler after hearing this, and he put her down, then took her hand and walked towards Villa number 1. He still has a conscience. Zhang Xiaonian was confused. I've tipped you off, why are you going back? Ruined. These two are definitely going to fight. However, when Xia Xiaonuan returned home, Zhang Xiaonian discovered that the two did not fight. Xia Xiaonuan was indifferent and did not even look at Zhang Lin, while Zhang Lin stood up with a smile and went to hug Xia Xiaonuan, and went to kiss her, but Xia Xiaonuan also wanted to refuse but still welcomed her, and the indifference on her face quickly turned into enthusiasm. Bah, shameless. Zhang Xiaonian was stunned. How come this is completely different from what she thought? After a while, the two separated. Xia Xiaonuan sat on Zhang Lin's lap, put her arms around his neck, and said, have you figured it out? Zhang Lin immediately changed the subject and pointed at Zhang Xiaonian, where did you find this kid? He's quite clever. He has realized that he has just been deceived by Zhang Xiaonian. She used her harmless appearance to force herself to recognize her father, which made him feel some fatherly love and successfully relaxed his vigilance towards her. Haha, you were actually deceived by a little kid. Xia Xiaonuan also knew that he was changing the subject, and mocked angrily, it's really okay, people like you won't live long in the apocalypse. Quote. Zhang Lin's face darkened. It was really embarrassing to be deceived by a little girl. Good daughter, come here, daddy will give you some gifts. He waved to Zhang Xiaonian. Zhang Xiaonian walked over with a grimace. She felt that she was really not a human being inside and out, and she even reported the news to Xia Xiaonuan. As a result, the two of them went into the house and started to eat together. Gift, just don't hit me. With an anxious mood, Zhang Xiaonian walked to Zhang Lin. Zhang Lin directly took out a stack of thick test papers from the space ring. There were more than a dozen test papers for various subjects. The big words on the cover were very eye-catching: 5 years of college entrance examination and 3 years of simulation. This was accidentally put into the space ring before, but I didn't expect it to come in handy now. Children should study more. Dad will give you some review materials. You should study hard, Zhang Lin said with a smile. I'll give you a week to finish everything. Go back and write now. I'll see you tomorrow morning. You've finished at least a third of the book. Zhang Xiaonian stared at Zhang Lin with wide eyes. 5 years of college entrance examination and 3 years of simulation. I'm 11. Are you serious? She looked at Xia Xiaonuan pleadingly. Auntie, for the sake of the information I just gave you, please spare me. This is the end of the world. It's okay for you to ask me to kill people, but why do you ask me to do test papers? Xia Xiaonuan looked at her coldly. Look what I'm doing, don't you recognize him as your father? Don't you listen to your father? I listen. Zhang Xiaonian's mentality collapsed. She suspected that she must have done something evil before meeting this couple. Is this the end of the world caused by me? Otherwise you can punish me like this. She walked away holding the 3-year simulation of the 5-year college entrance examination weighing more than 10 kilograms. After she left, Zhang Lin said with a smile, Xiaonian won't disturb us now. Xia Xiaonuan brought up old things again. Let me ask you, what are you going to do with those women of yours? I won't pursue your cheating. This is already my biggest concession. Zhang Lin picked her up and walked to the bedroom. Hey, why are you bringing up such troublesome things? We haven't seen each other for so long. Don't you miss me? Think. The next morning, after Zhang Lin opened the window, the biting cold wind instantly poured into the room. Xia Xiaonuan, who was sleeping with her eyes closed on the bed, couldn't help but pull the quilt to prevent her fair and delicate skin from being exposed to the biting cold wind. Under. It's really magical. Zhang Lin stood in front of the window with no clothes on his upper body. Feeling the cold temperature, he couldn't help but sigh. It is August. According to the weather in Chengdu, although this is not the hottest time period, at this stage, the daily temperature can still be described as scorching hot. Even when the zombies were sieging the city 2 days ago, the weather was very hot, but in just 2 days, the temperature dropped sharply, and now it is estimated to be below 10 degrees. Ji Yutong and Zhang Lin said that after the period of biochemical crisis, there will be a month of low temperature and a month of high temperature. This period is called the 2 heavens of ice and fire. After the zombie siege, the period of biohazard has come to an end. After that, the temperature will get lower and lower, until it reaches an extreme low temperature that ordinary people cannot bear. -67.7 degrees Celsius. -94.5 degrees Celsius. During the peak period of extremely low temperatures, the highest was -69 degrees Celsius and the lowest was 91 degrees Celsius. This is a temperature at which most living things cannot survive. Human beings can only survive by hiding in buildings and relying on various heating facilities. During this period, humans can only survive on stored materials. Zhang Lin has stored enough supplies and is not worried about future supply problems at all, so he can have the leisure to marvel at the wonders of the end of the world. What's so magical about this? I've experienced it many times. Xia Xiaonuan couldn't lie down for a while, so she put on her clothes and walked to Zhang Lin's side. By the way, what are your plans? She brought up the old things again, as if Zhang Lin would not give up until he told her, you must give me an answer today. Do you have enough supplies? Zhang Lin did not answer, but asked her a question. Don't change the subject, she shouted dissatisfied. It's definitely not enough, right? Zhang Lin said to himself. You didn't bring anything here except a motorcycle and Zhang Xiaonian. How will you make a living in the future? You don't need to worry about this. The city lord will naturally give me enough supplies. Xia Xiaonuan stared at him with burning eyes. Tell us about our problems. You are my woman, why are you using the city lord's supplies? Zhang Lin said dissatisfied. You listen to my arrangement and come back to live with me. I will provide you with the supplies you need. Xia Xiaonuan understood that this fool kept changing the subject. He had always wanted to hug everyone. Go away, I was bitten by a dog last night. From now on, we are completely finished, she said in a cold tone. Why are you talking to me? Zhang Lin raised his eyebrows. You are my woman, and it doesn't matter whether we are finished or not. Zhang Lin, you are really brave now, aren't you? Xia Xiaonuan couldn't help it anymore, rolled up her sleeves and was about to take action. Zhang Lin smiled slightly. Take action. He is least afraid of taking action now. In the past, I was bullied by this woman a lot, and now it was finally his turn to be bullied again. After a while, Xia Xiaonuan was pressed on the bed by Zhang Lin, his whole body was restrained, and he could not move at all. She was a little confused at first. Why did Zhang Lin suddenly become so powerful? She also collected materials and made a simple potion. Her physique was much higher than that of ordinary people, but she was easily suppressed by Zhang Lin. But then she realized that Zhang Lin had awakened the extraordinary template. It's still legendary. Asshole, what do you want? Although Xia Xiaonuan was controlled by Zhang Lin, she refused to admit defeat at all. It's nothing, I just feel like I didn't enjoy myself last night, and I want to do it again. Zhang Lin said, and started working on his hands. At the same time, he made up his mind, if I don't make you docile today, my surname will not be Zhang. It was afternoon in a blink of an eye. When Zhang Lin returned to number 16, he went back holding his waist. He was desperate, but the result was good. Xia Xiaonuan no longer asked Zhang Lin to break up and Qingge and the others, and she accepted her relationship with Zhang Lin. The only thing was that she refused to move in with Zhang Lin. Zhang Lin didn't force the last point, it would be fine at this point. He also asked Xia Xiaonuan if she would be his wife. The situation at that time was as follows. Zhang Lin asked, are you willing to be my wife? She said impatiently, if you don't want to, get out. System, congratulations, you have married a new wife. Your family has become more prosperous. You have received the following rewards. Adaptive Extraordinary Template Awakening Gem 2. Zhang Lin is of course full of questions. Didn't you agree? You don't mean what you mean, right? Zhang Lin simply left these 2 gems to Xia Xiaonuan so that she could awaken the extraordinary template. By the way, Zhang Xiaonuan could also awaken. She had already told Zhang Lin that Zhang Xiaonuan had resurrection-type abilities. This ability was very important and must be obtained as soon as possible. Arrive. When she saw the 2 purple gems, Xia Xiaonuan's breathing quickened. She also worked hard step by step and did many things for the City Lord, so the City Lord rewarded her with an awakening gem. And now, she slept with Zhang Lin and got 2 coins at once. Xia Xiaonuan was silent at that time. She seemed to understand why An Qingge took the initiative to help Zhang Lin find a woman. At this moment, she wanted to find a few more women for Zhang Lin. Of course, with Xia Xiaonuan's character, she wouldn't be able to do such a thing for a while, but this is a good start, isn't it? And Qingge was still selecting candidates she was satisfied with. After Zhang Lin came back, she asked Zhang Lin to check again. After all, she was looking for a woman for him, and she couldn't completely depend on Zhang Lin's wishes. Zhang Lin doesn't have high requirements. Things like chastity and character cannot be seen with the eyes alone. All he sees is whether you are good-looking or not. Only good-looking people can be selected in the first round and get the qualification to be selected. As the temperature drops, there are too many people coming to Villa 16, and there is no shortage of people to choose from. The same goes for other places. Anyone who can keep the house has become a hot commodity at this time. Contribution points, food, materials, women, men, whatever they want can be obtained. And Qingge still chose by herself at first, but as time went by, she became too busy alone, and even called An Qingwu, Ji Yutong and the twin sisters to help. 4 or 5 days later, the temperature has dropped to -14 degrees Celsius, it has begun to freeze outside, and snow has begun to fall in the sky. At this temperature, it is almost impossible to survive without a place to live. Villa number 5 and Villa number 77 have been fully staffed. Zhang Lin has received a large amount of contribution points. At the same time, Chen Zubo will also select suitable subordinates among the tenants to form a team. In 2 months, he can slowly choose. On number 16, Zhang Lin also completed the renovation of the house. Except for the place where he and sisters An Qingge, and Qingwu, Ji Yutong and his twin sisters lived, the rest of the house was renovated and could accommodate 15 people. And these 15 positions are all occupied at this time. Zhonglin also has plenty of time. In 2 months, he can't go out anyway, so he can get a wave of rewards. Now we have completely entered a month of extremely low temperatures. During this period, everyone should not go out and eat and drink at home. Zhonglin stood in the living room on the second floor and said to the room full of beautiful women. In addition to Enchingay and the others, there were 15 other selected women. New, a group of warblers and swallows said together. After they came here, they all knew what was going to happen. After all, Zhonglin didn't charge rent, but also took care of their food and drink. If they hadn't asked for anything, Zhonglin would have become a saint. Zhonglin is the only man in this house, and it's self-evident what his purpose is. At this time, no one wanted to refuse, but instead hoped to be favored by Zhonglin. After all, this place is simply a paradise for these helpless women. What they are afraid of now is that they will be kicked out if Zhonglin doesn't like them. If you are kicked out, you are going from heaven to hell. Okay, let's go back. Zhonglin waved his hand and asked them to go back to where they lived. The heating in the house is on, and hot water flows in the pipes underground and in the walls, raising the indoor temperature. It is now -10 or 20 degrees outside, but the indoor temperature has always been maintained above 10 degrees. Of course, this costs money. The central heating pipes laid by the city owner cost 5 contribution points a day, even if they are not turned on. Qingzhe, who do you think is good among these people? Zhonglin sent those women home, but he asked his eldest wife for her opinion very dotingly. Don't be so hasty. Why don't you take a closer look? And Qingzhe was slightly unhappy. Besides, they are only willing to follow you for food and shelter. They are still far from being willing. Zhonglin now understands the meaning of the so-called willingness. There is no point in verbally agreeing to be his wife. Otherwise, Zhonglin would just take out the food and go out to find women. He could find a large group of women at any time, and they would all agree to be his wife. At the same time, threats and temptations will not work. You must be completely willing to be Zhonglin's wife, identify with his wife's identity in your heart, and be sincerely willing to give birth to and raise children for him. Only to this point. This all depends on what you think in your heart, not what you say with your mouth. For example, Xia Xiaonuan disagreed with her mouth, but she agreed in her heart and recognized the identity of Zhonglin's wife, so she still triggered the system's reward. That's what you said. Let's wait and see for a while. Zhonglin was not too anxious. After all, he was not entirely happy for himself. I think if we want to enhance our relationship and make them like you, we have to do some activities. And Qingzhe suggested. Zhonglin thought for a moment and agreed, I'll bring out some fresh meat and vegetables, and some wine. Then we'll alternate between barbecue and hot pot, and do some activities every day. On the same day, Zhonglin organized people to have hot pot and drink together. When they were tipsy, they even sang and danced together, which was so happy. It can be expected that in the next 2 months, life in Villa number 16 will be like this every day. This kind of life, in the end of the world, is definitely a comfortable paradise. However, not everyone has such a prosperous life as Zhonglin. Outdoor, there is a land of ice and snowflakes all over the sky seem to be endless, falling down from the white and invisible sky. There is nothing on the ground except solid ice and white snow. The tall trees are now buried deep in the thick layer of snow, under the snow layer. In the white wilderness, no living creatures could be seen. Those creatures that have survived the biochemical crisis, including humans and all animals and plants, now face only death if they cannot find a place to spend the winter. Of course, in this cruel apocalypse for humans, the situation of other creatures is much better than that of humans. A large number of creatures died, but a small part of them underwent strange changes in their bodies after being wrapped in ice. Anyone who has awakened their memories knows that after the ice melts and another month of extreme heat passes, they will awaken various extraordinary abilities. At that time, it was a new era. Having said that, during this period, there shouldn't be any living creatures outside, but if nothing else happens, accidents still happen. Brothers, if we dig another 1,000 meters, we can break through directly into Hope City. A man wearing 3 layers of thick cotton clothing and a protective suit that did not reveal any gaps said to the people nearby through the intercom. This is a team of 12 people. The person who spoke was the boss of this team, named Li Shuo. He was also a person who had awakened his memory, but he didn't want to be dependent on others, and even had greater ambitions, so he gathered a group of people and prepared to take advantage of this situation. Time to take away the City of Hope. In normal times, he would naturally not dare to provoke the City Lord. Not to mention the City Lord's own strength, he hoped that all the masters in the city could defeat him. Not even during the biohazard period. He was also faced with a zombie siege and couldn't get out at all. It wouldn't work until the new era, when the 5 city guards had already been established. The 5 city guards could take care of him without the City Lord taking action. Only now, there is solid ice and thick snow everywhere, and there are no living animals moving in the sky. I hope everyone in the city will hide in their rooms and not go out. As long as they overcome the temperature outside, find a way to break through to Hope City, directly kill the City Lord himself, and then recruit a few experts from Hope City, Li Shuo can take over Hope City. So he acted. In the past, he had not had such ambitions. After all, the City Lord himself was extremely mysterious. No one knew how strong the City Lord was. It would be quite embarrassing if one of his group ran over and was killed by the City Lord alone. But this time Li Shuo had confidence. His confidence comes from a good brother of his. Old Wei, this time it's up to you. As long as the City Lord is killed, Hope City will belong to us. In the future, we can rely on Hope City to obtain countless resources, and you can also hope to upgrade your zombie template to the top level. Quote. Li Shuo patted the shoulder of the person next to him. The people around him, including his brother Lao Wei, were all dressed exactly the same, wearing several layers of cotton-padded clothes and very tight protective clothing. They all carried shovels and pickaxes on their backs. Under the heavy wind and snow, thick layers of snow accumulated, and they could only forcefully open a passage by digging. Brother Shuo, although I have awakened the zombie template, I am not sure about dealing with the City Lord. When the time comes, you will have to join me in taking action against the City Lord. Old Wei's voice rang on the channel in the intercom. If Zhonglin were here, he would probably be able to tell that he was still an acquaintance. This Old Wei is none other than Wei Qiliang, who bought the location of the Corpse King's body from Zhonglin before. He successfully produced the Extraordinary Template Awakening Potion, and now has awakened the Zombie-type Extraordinary Template. He is also the source of confidence for Li Shuo to dare to challenge the City Lord. After Wei Qiliang obtained the cerebrospinal fluid of the Corpse King, he first killed a few people who were following him, and then found a safe place to make the potion for awakening the zombie template. He originally wanted to return directly to Hope City, relying on his super strength to take advantage of zombie rising and the beginning of the new era, and expand his advantages for the future. At least, be a top 3 captain. The advantage of the zombie template is that it is formed early, but the disadvantage is that it has little potential in the later stage. He can only prepare for the future as much as possible now, otherwise he will definitely be eliminated in the future. However, before he arrived at Hope City, his good friend Li Shuo suddenly found him and made a very bold suggestion. Capture the City of Hope. Li Shuo had offended the City Lord, who wanted him and ordered him never to enter Hope City. Although there are gathering places for reborn people in other places, at least within the scope of Chengdu, the City Lord has the final say. Li Shuo didn't want to take the risk of going elsewhere to make a living, so he could only take risks and play the big game. Wei Qiliang thought about it and realized that he had awakened the zombie template and gained 2 extraordinary abilities. At this stage, he was almost invincible. So, he was moved. He and Li Shuo immediately began to recruit people who were dissatisfied with the City Lord. After gathering 12 people, they immediately found a safe place to hide. After surviving the crisis of the zombie siege, they waited patiently for a few more days. When heavy snow covered everything and there was no more biological activity, they set out. If you can look down from the sky at this time, you can see that on the vast white snowfield, a group of people dug a winding passage in the snow like burrowing gophers. After a while, Li Shuo, Wei Qiliang and others successfully arrived at Hope City. The original walls of Hope City were covered with heavy snow at this time, and the guards were all put on leave by the City Lord. They entered the interior of Hope without any hindrance. After all, the City Lord never imagined that someone could be so brave and dare to challenge him, and also in such a harsh environment. I hope the environment inside the city is different from the outside world. Floor heating pipes are laid underground. Under the flow of hot water, the temperature of the entire Hope City is higher than the outside world. After the snowflakes all over the sky fell into the city, they melted into water and ran away before they could be accumulated. The current temperature has not yet reached its lowest point. Relying on human technological creations, I hope that the city will definitely be a more comfortable space. After Li Shuo and his party arrived at Hope City, they immediately removed their 2 layers of cotton-padded clothes and protective clothing. Wearing too thick clothes is not convenient for fighting. And I hope the temperature in the city is higher and uncomfortable. Pay attention to some concealment. Let's go straight to the City Lord's palace. We will deal with the City Lord first, and then we will win over a few experts in Hope City. Li Shuo whispered the plan. Wei Qiliang and everyone else were excited. Not to mention other places, in this place like Chengdu, City of Hope is definitely a holy place in everyone's heart. And now, they are going to own this place. In the new era, this is an exchange center with a radius of hundreds of kilometers. Among other things, the city entry tax alone is enough for them to obtain all the resources they need in the future. Who cannot be excited? Brother Shuo, let's go quickly. One person couldn't hold it anymore and said hurriedly, I hope that the only threat to us in the city is the City Lord, and others are not a concern. Kill the City Lord, and if others dare to resist us, just kill it. Don't underestimate them. Li Shuo shook his head. As far as I know, Sha Xiaonuan, Lu Dajiao, Zhou Weibing, Li Jing, and Luo Jingxin are all masters. If they resist us, they can still cause us a lot of trouble. Quote, Brother Shuo, your news is out of date. Wei Qiliang said with a smile. Li Jing and Luo Jingxin were both killed. Oh, Li Shuo really didn't know this news. After all, he and others were basically shady people in Hope City. They couldn't enter Hope City and the information they could obtain was limited. Wei Qiliang joined later and knows more. Who killed Li Jing and Luo Jingxin? Li Shuo felt a little surprised. He solved our 2 problems at once. Zhang Lin. Wei Qiliang's tone was a bit complicated when he mentioned this name. A guy who has not awakened his memory has some strength. He was already jealous of Zhang Lin at that time, and even mocked him. Zhang Lin killed the Corpse King, but he didn't know how precious the Corpse King's cerebrospinal fluid was. He took the lead and bought the Corpse King's position for 100 contribution points. For these 100 contribution points, he borrowed 7 or 8 friends. After awakening the zombie template, 7 or 8 of his friends came to ask for a debt. He could have killed zombies to earn contribution points to repay the debt, but it turned out to be too much trouble, so he killed all his friends, so he didn't have to pay back the money. This is another reason why he joined Li Shuo's team. In Hope City, he had a bad reputation. Later, he couldn't get any news from Hope City. The news he is talking about now was all known to him before he left Hope City. Another dark horse has appeared this time. Li Shuo was a little surprised. This Lin can kill Luo Jingxin and Li Jing, which shows that he has some strength, and because he has awakened his memory, he definitely has no sense of belonging to Hope City. We should be able to win him over. Don't win over him, Wei Qiliang blurted out. Then he felt a little strange and explained to himself, this person has a violent personality and is addicted to killing. He is not suitable to form a team with us. For some reason, Wei Qiliang always felt a little uncomfortable when he heard Zhang Lin's name. Maybe it was because Zhang Lin took 100 contribution points from him, or maybe he was a little worried about Zhang Lin's strength. Old Wei, don't be so excited. Li Shuo laughed and said, now we urgently need the support of the experts in Hope City. If we can win over one, we can win over one. We will use them to talk first. If you feel unhappy with him later, we will kill him. That's it for him. Wei Qiliang thought for a moment, that's more like it. Although Zhang Lin single-handedly killed the Corpse King, but now that he has awakened the extraordinary template, he doesn't think he can beat Zhang Lin. Sha Xiaonuan and the City Lord are good friends, so there is definitely no possibility of trying to win them over. Lu Dajiao is a very stupid person, so there is no need to win over him. Li Shuo suddenly changed his mind, why don't we go to Zhang Lin first? If he joins us, we can kill the City Lord together. If he doesn't agree, we can kill him and then go to the City Lord. What do you think? After listening to Zhang Lin's situation, Li Shuo suddenly felt that someone like Zhang Lin was very suitable to win over. According to Wei Qiliang's description, Zhang Lin is not a good person, which is indeed the case. Li Shuo was not a good person to begin with, and no one present was close to a good person. Doesn't this mean birds of a feather flock together? Furthermore, Zhang Lin has never awakened his memory. He joined Hope City not long ago. He has no sense of belonging in Hope City and certainly does not have much loyalty to the city lord. As long as he is promised huge profits, he should be very easy to win over. Furthermore, Zhang Lin has been in Hope City and should have a deep understanding of Hope City. If he can win over Zhang Lin, he can have a better understanding of the inside of Hope City. If you do it this way, it will be much safer. The more Li Shuo thought about it, the more he realized that there were many benefits to winning over Zhang Lin, so after a brief discussion with everyone, he immediately made the decision, "Old Wei, lead the way, let's find Zhang Lin first." Chapter 91. Villa number 16. The period of extremely low temperature has begun for many days. The outside temperature is getting lower and lower, and the indoor temperature is also slowly decreasing. But no matter what, the indoor temperature can be maintained at about 10 degrees. Wear a little thicker and it won't affect your life. But Ji Yutong said that in a few days, when the extreme low temperature reaches the middle stage, when the outside temperature drops to -40 or 50 degrees, the indoor temperature will uncontrollably drop to -0. At that time, the only way to feel comfortable was to huddle in bed. Therefore, taking advantage of this time, Zhang Lin took the time to sing and dance every day and cultivate relationships with a group of women. Not to mention, after a few days, Zhang Lin could basically call everyone by name and had some understanding of each of them. And their affection for Zhang Lin doubled. After all, Zhang Lin didn't need them to pay anything. Instead, he entertained them with good wine and meat every day. Anyone with a conscience would be grateful to Zhang Lin. The time is almost here. We can choose a target to try first. And Qingge sat on the sofa and whispered in Zhang Lin's arms. Others were eating and drinking in the living room and dining room, but she didn't drink. After all, she already had a baby in her belly. Who do you think you should choose first? Zhang Lin asked. As he spoke, his eyes scanned the group of women in the living room, and finally, his eyes fell on one of them. It was a girl who had just graduated from college, with a slim figure, fair skin, and thick round glasses on her face. While others were drunkenly enjoying the fun, she was watching from the side with a glass of drink in her hands, her face calm. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Xiao Bai, don't you think she's pretty good too? And Qingge noticed her gaze and curled her lips. Xiao Bai, whose real name is Bai Jiajia, is the girl Zhang Lin's eyes linger on. The reason why Zhang Lin was particularly impressed by her was because Bai Jiajia was completely different from others. She didn't like drinking. No matter how lively the atmosphere of other people's gatherings, she would not participate in them. She was a bit unsociable. But she took the initiative to find Zhang Lin and proposed that she wanted to be Zhang Lin's woman. Zhang Lin was so kind to her, which made her feel uneasy and wanted to repay Zhang Lin. She is a bit like Yutong. She is relatively rational. She is willing to give something in exchange for your protection. And Qingge commented on her. Okay, it's just a novice. I'll ask her that question later to see if she can trigger the system's reward. Zhang Lin nodded. Over there, Bai Jiajia seemed to have noticed the gazes of Zhang Lin and Qingge. She lowered her head slightly, feeling a little scared. She was a little scared. Zhang Lin was so kind to them but didn't touch them. She was afraid that Zhang Lin would want something else. As Qingge said, Bai Jiajia is very sensible. Several women have become accustomed to the life here and take Zhang Lin's kindness for granted, but she knows that Zhang Lin's kindness to them has a price. Therefore, she took the initiative to find Zhang Lin, hoping to become his woman. Then Zhang Lin refused, and she became even more frightened. Xiao Bai, come here. Zhang Lin's eyes met with hers, and then he waved to her. Bai Jiajia stood up and walked towards Zhang Lin with steady steps. Her face was calm, but her heart was filled with nervousness. On the other side, several women also noticed this scene. Sister Ting, Bai Jiajia was called away. What did you say? Zhu Qinchin came to Shu Liting's side and whispered. In front of them were placed new things that were more valuable than gold in the apocalypse, and with wine glasses in their hands, their lives were extremely lively. At first, they were a little scared, but as time went by, Zhonglin's supplies seemed to be unlimited for their use, and they are now completely used to it, as if it were a matter of course. Does this need to be said? Shu Liting smiled disdainfully. It's just a matter between men and women. Look, Bai Jiajia is sitting next to Zhonglin, and he hugged her. Zhu Qinshan exclaimed. Idiot, Shu Liting commented, and then said to Zhu Qinshan and others, I tell you, Zhonglin will come to us sooner or later, but we can't give it to Zhonglin easily. Let him get us easily, we are not worth anything no matter what, we have to sell it at a good price. Sister Ting, after all, we. One girl hesitated. The same goes for other women. After all, everything they use now belongs to Zhonglin. What should you do if you reject Zhonglin and make him angry? Shu Liting laughed and said, Don't worry, I know men too well. The more they can't eat, the more they feel itchy. As long as you listen to me, I promise to make Zhonglin our long-term meal ticket. Among the women surrounding her, 2 had excited expressions in their eyes, and 2 quietly moved away from Shu Liting. Qingge, these 2 gems belong to Xiaoya and Xiaohui. There is no rush to awaken them now. You and Yutong will train them for a period of time and make sure they awaken the template for combat. Zhonglin threw 2 purple gems to Qingge and gave her a task. Got it. She took 2 gemstones and went to the master bedroom. Now number 16 has been completely renovated. The first and third floors are covered with beds, belonging to the new women. The second floor belongs to Zhonglin, and Qingge, and Qingwu, Ji Yutong, Mu Xiaoya and Mu Xiaohui, and the living room and kitchen are used together. Zhonglin lived in the master bedroom by himself, while they all crowded together in the second bedroom. If Zhonglin wanted to find someone, he would call them to the master bedroom. At this time, Ji Yutong and the others were all in the second bedroom. They did not participate in the gathering outside, mainly because they were on their own and there was no need. They have a much more important position in Zhonglin's mind, and they usually have no shortage of food and drink. Naturally, they will not be like these women outside, eating fresh food just like celebrating the new year. Bai Jiajia leaned into Zhonglin's arms, while he gently stroked her hair. Just now, Zhonglin asked her what she said, and explained in advance that in order for her to do her best, she must fully agree with the identity of Zhonglin's wife and be willing to give birth to children for Zhonglin. She was indeed as Qingge observed. She was similar to Ji Yutong. After experiencing the cruelty of the apocalypse, she was very grateful to Zhonglin for taking him in. She completely accepted everything without Zhonglin's words. 2 gems were her reward. Bai Jiajia felt very at ease at this time. She had finally become Zhonglin's woman. From now on, she just had to do her duty as a wife and raise children for Zhonglin. She would never live that kind of wandering life again. Xiao Bai, let's go to the bedroom. Zhonglin felt an impulse in his heart as he felt the young body full of youthful vitality. It's still daytime. She raised her head, looked at Zhonglin with a pair of bright eyes, and pursed her red lips slightly, feeling a little embarrassed. Why does Zhonglin care about this? He is a man, no matter what day or night he is. It's okay, come with me. He stood up and held Bai Jiajia's little hand in his hand. She stood up and followed with her head lowered. At this time, Ji Yutong suddenly rushed out of the room, holding a brass box in his hand. Wait a minute, Brother Lin, take a look at this first. Someone has sneaked into Hope City, and when I look in the direction, they are coming directly towards us. In the master bedroom on the second floor, Ji Yutong opened the brass box. The mirror inside the lid displayed the real-time surveillance footage of Hope City. It has been a long time since Zhonglin obtained the heart of investigation. So far, a total of 3 spirits of investigation have been produced. Of these 3 reconnaissance spirits, one is on the roof of number 16, one is at the gate of Hope City, and one is on the main street near No. 16. Naturally, Zhonglin didn't have time to keep an eye on the investigative heart, so he threw the brass box to Ji Yutong and the others, asking them to take a look at it when they were fine and report to him if there was anything wrong. Ji Yutong and the others are now trapped at home with nothing to do, and they are too lazy to participate in eating and drinking outside. A group of people are hiding in the room chatting and playing cards to relieve their boredom. Occasionally, Someone takes a look at the investigative heart. On weekdays, all that could be seen was the vast expanse of snow, but today, a group of people were seen heading towards number 16, Ji Yutong quickly notified Zhong Lin. They really came for us, Zhong Lin said firmly after seeing it. Bai Jiajia couldn't help but stand on tiptoe and peek at the brass box. She felt it was so amazing that a seemingly ordinary brass box had miraculous monitoring effects. She didn't dare to speak. After looking at Detective Hart for a few times, her eyes shifted to Zhong Lin. Ji Yutong didn't want her to come in just now, but Zhong Lin said it was okay and let her in anyway, and saw such a magical thing as the Detective Hart. This made her feel warm in her heart, and she felt like she was recognized and trusted. Brother Lin, what do you say? Ji Yutong glanced at Bai Jiajia. Zhong Lin had accepted another one. She felt a little uncomfortable, but she didn't have too many thoughts. Anyway, she positioned herself very clearly, just a small toy. Only when Zhong Lin is happy can she live a good life. Zhong Lin hopes for peace in the harem, and she will not engage in any tricks of palace fighting. However, she couldn't understand why someone like An Chingay would take the initiative to find a woman for Zhong Lin. Since they are here for us, we will meet them. Zhong Lin smiled slightly, not really caring. Bai Jiajia was a little nervous. They have. She looked at the brass box again, counted them and said, 12 people, is there really no problem? When the zombies besieged the city, she hid in a corner of Hope City and did not participate in the battle. Later, she heard that Zhong Lin killed a 1,000-legged corpse alone, but she had no idea of Zhong Lin's combat power. Her simple experience in fighting told her that when fighting, more people are an advantage. So she was very worried. She had only lived a stable life for a few days, and she had just agreed to Zhong Lin to be his wife. She didn't want Zhong Lin to get into trouble because of his carelessness. That's why I couldn't help but give a reminder. Are you worried about him? Ji Yutong couldn't help laughing. Let me tell you this, if you go take a shower now, before you come out clean, he will have already killed those people, and he will still be there when it's over. I'll kill you too with all my strength. Bai Jiajia looked at Ji Yutong dumbfounded. What is this talking about? Do the two words, kill, mean the same thing? Zhong Lin was also amused by Ji Yutong. At the same time, he felt that Bai Jiajia was also quite interesting. He hadn't even completed the last step with her yet, and she was already worried about him. He was suddenly moved. Xiao Bai, listen to Yutong, you go take a shower now. Ah, Bai Jiajia looked at Zhong Lin blankly again. No, are you serious? Zhong Lin patted her little butt and said, go and wash it off, wait for me when I come back. Oh, Bai Jiajia blushed and went to the shower room. Ji Yutong was also a little dazed. Sisters said it casually, do you take it seriously? Zhong Lin glanced at her and said, why are you stunned? Look where they are. I'll go out and deal with them first to save my house from being dirty. They'll be there just around the corner. Ji Yutong glanced at the brass box and said. Zhong Lin immediately put on his coat and went out. In ancient times, the second master warmed the wine and killed Hua Shang. When he left, Cao Cao brought a glass of warm wine, but the second master did not drink it. When the second master came back, the wine in Cao Cao's cup was still steaming. Nowadays, well, how should I put it? A warm beauty. The beauty was still taking a bath when she left, and when she came back from killing 12 people in a row, the beauty hibiscus came out of the bath and smiled shyly. Isn't it beautiful? Grass. Thinking about it this way, I feel a little excited. Zhong Lin pushed open the door downstairs, and a cold wind rushed in. In an instant, the temperature in the room dropped below 5 degrees. Just as he opened the door, Li Shuo, Wei Qiliang and other 12 people also turned a corner and appeared in Zhong Lin's sight. They also saw Zhong Lin, and for a moment, they were all stunned. Li Shuo's original plan was to sneak into number 16 secretly, control Zhong Lin first, and then win over Zhong Lin and let him work for him. If he agrees, it's natural for you and me to go together to fight the city lord. If he doesn't want to work for him, then just kill Swancho. As a result, Li Shuo didn't expect that as soon as he turned a corner, he saw Zhong Lin pushing the door open and coming out. Wei Qiliang reacted quickly. Brother Shuo, take action and control him first, otherwise we will be in trouble if he reports to the city lord. Li Shuo reacted instantly, waved his hand, do it. After shouting, he rushed over directly. Others followed suit. To sneak attack the city lord, this is a life-threatening business. If the city lord finds out and is prepared, none of them can live. Wei Qiliang is very fast. After using the zombie template, his physical fitness has been greatly enhanced and he has gained 2 extraordinary abilities. King of Zombies template. Zombie body. The body changes. The teeth and fingernails are infected with the zombie virus. The scratched creature will turn into a zombie. At the same time, the body's perception of pain is greatly reduced, the recovery ability is enhanced, and the number of fatal organs is reduced. Only the head is chopped off. Will die only when dropped or broken. Scavenger King. Devours carrion and accumulates it in the body. After digestion, the body will gain physical growth, and the size and strength will become larger. It can also be actively activated to convert the stored carrion into energy, instantly increasing combat effectiveness. Since he got the cerebrospinal fluid of the Corpse King and Wei Qiliang was lucky, he actually made a rare level extraordinary template awakening potion. Otherwise, Li Shuo would not dare to attract the attention of the city lord even if he were killed. At this time, Wei Qiliang rushed to the front, looking at Zhang Lin in front, he showed a ferocious smile. You just cheated me out of 100 contribution points, right? Die. He let out a hoarse roar. After awakening the Zombie King template, his body inevitably became somewhat zombie-like. Why does it feel familiar? Zhang Lin frowned. Wei Qiliang was wrapped too tightly and he didn't recognize him. Forget it, let's kill him first and then talk about it. After saying this, a meow knife that was more than 1.6 meters long appeared in his hand out of thin air, and then cut it off with one stroke. After awakening the zombie template, Wei Qiliang no longer uses weapons. His teeth and nails are the most powerful weapons. Not only is it hard and sharp, it can also infect people into zombies. Now when he takes action, it is a killing move. But the sudden appearance of Miao Dao startled him. Puff! One knife. Zhang Lin slashed at his shoulder, and with a muffled sound, Wei Qiliang's body was split into 2 halves. At the same time, a strange cold force attached to his wound, which made Wei Qiliang, who could hardly feel the pain, also feel a strange force corroding his body. The cold feeling made him miserable. Ah! 2 parts of his body fell to the ground, the headless half roared, and the headless side twitched in pain. Not dead. Zhang Lin looked at the 2 little Wei Qiliang on the ground strangely. He didn't recognize Wei Qiliang, otherwise he might be able to guess what was going on. What the hell? Li Shuo made the move before Wei Qiliang. Although Wei Qiliang was faster and got a head start, he arrived right behind him. As a result, as soon as he rushed to Zhang Lin's side, he saw Wei Qiliang being cut in half with a knife and lying on the ground wailing and twitching. It was precisely because of Wei Qiliang that he dared to challenge the city lord. And now, his important assistant Wei Qiliang was cut in half with a knife. Come. With the new enemy arriving, Zhang Lin had no time to care about Wei Qiliang for the time being. Instead, he turned around and raised his finger at Li Shuo. He swallowed and did not dare to come up directly. Instead, he waited until everyone came over before shouting, "Brothers, come up together." After shouting, Li Shuo deliberately slowed down and did not dare to be the first to come up. Phew! A head flew up. The head of the unlucky guy who rushed at the front flew in the air, watching his headless body fall to the ground. Then came the second one. The third. The fourth. When Zhang Lin reached the 6th one, the remaining people had already started to run away. Li Shuo ran the fastest. Maid, you are so strong, are you telling me that he has never awakened his memory? He looked horrified and cursed in his heart, Wei Qiliang, you killed me. After running a few steps, he saw a guy beside him who was running away with him being shot to death by Zhang Lin. He was even more frightened. And guns. Wei Qiliang, should I draft it? Li Shuo was about to cry but had no tears, so he could only speed up and continue to run away. There was a corner ahead. As long as he could run over, at least he wouldn't have to worry about being hit by a gun. Bang bang bang. One by one, people around him were shot to death. Li Shuo ran desperately, finally turned the corner and hid behind the building. He breathed a sigh of relief, now at least he wouldn't be shot to death from behind. But we can't relax yet. All of his companions should be dead, and the opponent's next target is only him. But Li Shuo himself wasn't sure whether he could run away. He gritted his teeth and ran out as if risking his life, but before he could take 2 steps, a sudden roar of a motorcycle rang out. Boom! The cool motorcycle crushed the thin ice on the ground and went straight towards Li Shuo. After Zhang Lin turned the corner, he saw a scene of Li Shuo being directly hit to death by a motorcycle. He spurted blood from his orifices and flew more than 20 meters away. Quote. He was speechless, and then said to Xia Xiaonuan, who was riding a motorcycle, "Why are you so cruel? I plan to keep one alive for interrogation." Xia Xiaonuan got off the car next to Zhang Lin. Even in such a cold weather, she was wearing a leather jacket and leather trousers, and her slender and graceful figure was fully displayed under the tight clothes. She took off her sunglasses, her handsome little face was expressionless, and her tone was cold. "Why haven't you come to see me these days?" As expected, it is a woman, and the focus is different. "It's too cold to go out. I think you're almost drained, right?" She was filled with resentment. Zhang Lin directly changed the subject and looked at her. "Why are you wearing so little? Is it cold? Do you want to go to my place and do something?" Xia Xiaonuan really wanted to slap him to death. At this time, the sound of fighting suddenly came from No. 16. Zhang Lin's expression changed. That guy isn't dead yet. However, he is already in 2 halves. Is he still capable of fighting? At this time, he didn't want to think too much. There were a group of women at home, so nothing unexpected happened. The dozen or so newcomers didn't matter, but old people like Qingge and the others had feelings and must not let anything happen to them. But when Zhang Lin hurried over and saw the situation in front of gate number 16, he quickly shouted, "Stay alive." Singer Anqing held a red tasseled spear and was covered with a shimmering shield. She was as fast as the wind, shooting one after another, almost piercing the trumpet corpse king into a sieve. However, the small zombie king posed no threat to her. He could occasionally hit Qingge, but the damage was absorbed by the shield outside her body. Hearing the noise outside, Qingge came out. Wei Qiliang happened to activate the King of Scavenger ability. He had eaten many zombies alive before and accumulated a lot of energy in his body. At this time, they all burst out, and the severed body was instantly connected. Together, we recover from our injuries and our strength increases dramatically. But with Qingge's main attack and Ji Yutong's cooperation, he was quickly suppressed. If Zhang Lin hadn't shouted in time, he would have been stabbed to death by Qingge. Qingge stopped attacking. Wei Qiliang's body was riddled with holes and collapsed. He still had 1 breath left. Zhang Lin went over to interrogate. He is used to interrogating his enemies, mainly asking them whether they have any accomplices or other conspiracies. Wei Qiliang was dying. His eyes were filled with despair. He had just activated his Scavenger King ability and tried to break into Villa number 16, capture Zhang Lin and several women and threaten Zhang Lin in order to survive. But who would have thought? Not only Zhang Linqiang, he couldn't even beat Zhang Lin's woman. But it was because of himself that Li Shuo temporarily changed his goal and came to Zhang Lin. Wei Qiliang really regretted it for the rest of his life. It would be great to just go to the city lord honestly. "Tell me, do you have any accomplices or conspiracy? I'll give you a good time after I finish talking." He was already a civ, and Zhang Lin didn't even know how to threaten him. There is no torture more cruel than being poked into a sieve. Wei Qiliang couldn't speak. His trachea had been punctured, which meant that his body had turned into a zombie, otherwise he wouldn't be able to survive now. "Forget it, don't ask. I know the person who was killed just now. He is the wanted criminal of the city lord. If he comes here at this time, he must be causing trouble for the city lord." Xia Xiaonuan interjected next to him. "Okay, then I won't ask." Zhang Lin was very persuaded and chopped off Wei Qiliang's head with a knife. Miao Dao strengthened again. Xia Xiaonuan came here after being notified by the city lord. Now that all 12 people are dead, she talked about another order from the city lord. "Zhang Lin, the city lord wants to see us for something, you come with me." She was thinking that when she came back from the city lord's mansion soon, she would take Zhang Lin home. She hadn't seen him for several days, and she admitted that she missed him terribly. "The city lord is looking for me." Zhang Lin decisively refused. "I won't go if I don't." The beauty is still warm at home. What kind of beast is the city lord? Who has time to care about him? Sha Xiaonuan left with an unhappy face. Before leaving, she told Zhang Lin about her awakening template. It's no different from before. The name of the template she awakened is Evil Flame Knight, which is a legendary level and has 3 extraordinary abilities. This template may be related to her personality and hobbies. She loved riding before the end of the world, and she can be regarded as a modern version of a knight. In fact, her riding skills are higher than many professional racers. Even, besides her job, she can also take part in some exhibition competitions and test driving motorcycles. After breaking up with Zhang Lin, Sha Xiaonuan wanted to make a quick buck, so she accepted a sponsorship from a well-known beverage and challenged herself to fly across the Yellow River. The last person to challenge crossing the Yellow River, the distance was 30 meters. Sha Xiaonuan also chose 30 meters. If she succeeds, she will be the first woman to cross the Yellow River on a motorcycle. It's a pity that she prepared for several months in the field, but before the challenge, she awakened her memory. In order to save Zhang Lin, she had to give up the challenge. But now, using her motorcycle as a mount, she has awakened the extraordinary template of the knight type, which is very suitable. Zhang Xiaonian was almost the same, awakening the same auxiliary template as before. Not to mention other abilities for the moment, the most important one is the ability to resurrect. As long as the target has not been dead for more than 5 hours, the integrity of the body exceeds 80%, and there is no large area of brain and heart missing, she can be resurrected. This is a magical skill. As long as he has a good grasp of Zhang Xiaonian, he will have a powerful trump card in the future. After understanding the template for her and Zhang Xiaonian's awakening, Zhang Lin promised to stay with her for a few days before sending Sha Xiaonuan away. Zhang Lin didn't bother to care about the pile of corpses outside the door and took Qingge, Ji Yutong and others back home. The door was closed tightly, blocking the cold wind from outside. Slowly, the temperature inside the room gradually rose again. Qingge and the others wisely went to the second bedroom on the second floor, not to disturb Zhang Lin's good deeds. After Zhang Lin arrived in the master bedroom, Bai Jiajia had just finished taking a bath. She was wrapped in a bath towel, which could only cover the pair of large baby canteens above and her round buttocks. In addition, the delicate clavicle, white and smooth jade shoulders and slender goose neck above were all generously displayed in Zhang Lin's eyes. Below, a pair of slender white jade legs were nervously pressed together. She was wearing a pair of pink slippers, and her delicate white jade toes were slightly curled up, which further illustrated her nervousness at this time. "Husband, you are back." Her face is a slightly rounded oval face, and her facial features are not particularly delicate, but when combined together, they have a natural and harmonious beauty. These facial features must be placed on this face to be suitable. "Husband." She was the first to call Zhang Lin that way. Qingge usually calls him by his first name, Ji Yutong likes to call him Brother Lin, and Qingwu calls him brother-in-law, and the twin sisters call him brother. Zhang Lin's heartbeat accelerated slightly. The beautiful scenery in front of him, as well as that soft call, can make a man's head go up, well, both his head and down. The beauty has warmed up. Zhang Lin didn't want to rush forward like an impatient old man, and he had just killed someone and still smelled of blood, so he just enjoyed the beautiful scenery in front of him for a moment, and then said with a smile, "Go get ready in bed, I'll take a shower and come over." "Okay." Bai Jiajia's heartbeat accelerated, her blood surged, her fair cheeks were completely filled with blush, it was finally coming. "This man is very powerful, he can protect me, and I will become his wife." Once she was worried that Zhang Lin wouldn't touch her and others, she had a bigger plot, such as he had some perverted hobbies, or he wanted to use them for evil experiments. But now, she has become the first among many women to be with Zhang Lin. Her worries have completely disappeared, and she only feels full of security in her heart. Listening to the sound of water rushing in the shower room, Bai Jiajia half leaned against the bedside, feeling even more nervous. She knew exactly what was going to happen next. "I don't know if I'll satisfy him." She became melancholy and worried. When she was in college, she was also a famous school belle with countless suitors, but she had lofty ideals and never cared about relationships. After graduation, she entered a large company as an intern. She worked hard in every possible way, but the result was not there yet. If you become a righteous person, the end of the world will come. After being displaced all the way, going through hardships and enduring hunger all the way, I finally arrived at Hope City, but I still faced a situation where I had no food, no water, no shelter, and no safety. But fortunately she met Zhonglin. The once sweet girl of heaven, after being severely beaten by the apocalypse, no longer had the pride and lofty ambitions in her heart. Will Zhonglin be satisfied? This is what worries her now. After all, not to mention the 5 women before Zhonglin, she now has 14 sisters in this house. If Zhonglin is dissatisfied with her, she can't imagine the consequences of being kicked out. Baijiajia began to recall those short movies she had secretly watched with her sisters in the same dormitory before, recalling the details in them. She was very talented in memory and learning. Although her face became more and more rosy and her body became hotter and hotter, as her memory deepened, she already understood all the skills she saw in the movie. Finally, Zhonglin came out after taking a shower. Soon, all Bai Jiajia's worries disappeared. Zhonglin is very enthusiastic. After she used some tricks from the movie, he became even more enthusiastic. And she was finally relieved. This girl, who had felt insecure from the beginning, finally lost her fear after more than an hour before she couldn't control the fatigue that swept through her body and fell asleep. Zhonglin won't come. In the City Lord's palace, when the City Lord saw Sha Xiaonuan coming back alone, he finally couldn't help but let out an angry question. Once, he gave an order, and all 5 teams gathered at the City Lord's mansion, which represented that Hope City's highest combat effectiveness was concentrated here. At this time, he wanted to have a meeting, and 2 people came. Sha Xiaonuan and Lu Dajiao. The second captain is Zhonglin, and the 5th captain is Ji Yutong. If Zhonglin doesn't come, Ji Yutong will naturally not come. The 4th captain, Zhou Weibing, died during the zombie siege. At this time, his position was vacant. Due to the extremely low temperature, the City Lord had not appointed a new candidate for the time being. The conference room that the City Lord built specifically for himself and the 5th team to have a meeting was now empty. The City Lord suddenly felt a little bad. Zhonglin is the 2nd, and the 5th Xiaoji is also hers. This boy is very strong and restless. Fortunately, Xiaoxia and Xiaolu are both my people, otherwise, I'm afraid I will be beaten by him empty. If Zhonglin doesn't come, we won't be able to hold this meeting. You should go back first. The City Lord waved his hand with concern, asking Sha Xiaonuan and Lu Dajiao to go back first. Later, he sat alone in the conference room and meditated. His purpose in establishing Hope City is to cultivate new strong human beings. He actually does not value power. But, although he didn't care about power, after all, Hope City was built by him, and he couldn't accept it suddenly becoming someone else's. Zhonglin occupies the 2nd place among the 5 teams. The 4th captain must not be Zhonglin's person. I have to find someone who can check and balance him. The City Lord was depressed. First Captain Sha Xiaonuan and Zhonglin must know each other, but he doesn't know what their relationship is. In the past, although Sha Xiaonuan was devoted to resurrecting her boyfriend, she never told others her boyfriend's name. Zhang Xiaonian only found out recently. If the City Lord hadn't known that Sha Xiaonuan's boyfriend died in every life, he would have even guessed that Zhonglin was Sha Xiaonuan's boyfriend. Although they are not boyfriend and girlfriend, there must be a relationship between them. Now the City Lord doesn't dare to trust Sha Xiaonuan completely. There is also Lu Dajiao, whose brain is not very good. The City Lord couldn't guarantee whose side he would side with if he and Zhonglin really fell out. Although the City Lord himself is also very powerful. But if all the 5 teams are controlled by Zhonglin, then there is nothing he can do to Zhonglin. After all, he can't kill all the 5 teams, right? Not to mention whether he has this ability. His purpose was to cultivate strong men, but he killed them all and accelerated the extinction of mankind. What's the point? The City Lord had not thought about this issue before. No matter how many times he reincarnates, no one can ever threaten his position as City Lord. But this life is different. Zhonglin unknowingly grew to a point where even a City Lord could not ignore him. Why? He sighed quietly. The 4th captain must be chosen as soon as possible. Within the 16th, Zhonglin looked at the news on the elderly machine with a smile on his face. Although the outside world has been completely frozen, there is a local area network in the city, and people inside can communicate freely. It's a pity that the quality of the elderly phone customized by the city owner is better than that of Nokia, but it is not a smartphone and only has a few simple functions. Internal forum, private message function, trading contribution points. Zhonglin will occasionally check the forum these days. Most of the forums post people asking for exchange of supplies. There is only one space ring. When others collect supplies, their choices are limited and what they can take back is limited. Nowadays, if a certain material is in short supply, we can only exchange information on the forum. But more people in the forum are asking for supplies and housing. Hope City only has 100 houses in total. How many people can live in it? Most people can only set up their own tents, pile up quilts, wear more clothes, and rely on luck to survive this month of extremely low temperatures. After reading the forum for a few days, he found that there were all posts like this. Zhonglin didn't bother to read them. Now he took out his mobile phone and read the private messages of the city lord. Whenever you have time, come to the city lord's mansion. I'm going to convene a meeting among the 5 teams. Zhonglin smiled. Among the 5 teams, I sent the second one, the first and 5th ones were my girlfriends, the 3rd one was a problem child, and the 4th one was the vacancy. At this rate, Hope City is not far away from changing its name. The 4th captain must be chosen by my people. Zhonglin touched his chin and thought. If the 4th captain is also his, and he tries to win over Lu Dajiao later, no matter how powerful the city lord is, this Hope City will have to change its owner. The city lord seemed to be aware of this. He wanted to have a meeting now and asked Zhonglin to set the time. Tomorrow afternoon. Zhonglin typed a few words and sent it, and then thought about who to arrange to be the 4th captain. There will be a meeting tomorrow, and the city lord will definitely propose a candidate. I must also bring someone with me. When the time comes, who will take the top position will depend on the game between himself and the city lord. Husband. On the side, Bai Jiajia turned over in her sleep and lay on Zhonglin's chest. She didn't know what she was dreaming about. She had a beautiful smile on her lips. Zhonglin pinched her delicate face. In the future, his family will become bigger and bigger. Not only will there be more women, but Qingge is already pregnant, and other women will become pregnant one after another. It's just a villa number 16, and I definitely can't live in it. Even if you add villa number 5 and villa number 77, it may not be enough. By then, the entire Hope City may be able to accommodate his family. The next afternoon, Zhonglin brought Qingge and Ji Yutong to the city lord's mansion. Although it is already minus 30 or 40 degrees outside, as long as protection is taken, the short journey to the city lord's palace is not a problem for the 5th Brigade. As expected, the city lord arranged a candidate for the 4th captain. A thin man in his early 30s. Ji Yutong quietly told Zhonglin that this man's name was Tang Lian, and he was pretty good. Although he was not one of the 5 major teams, his strength was no worse than the last 3 captains. I hope that there are many people in the city who have some strength but like to live alone. Not everyone is willing to serve the city lord. Although becoming a captain brings power, he also has responsibilities. Tang Lian is such a person. He had been favored by the city lord. Although he didn't like being a captain, he was still willing to serve the city lord as long as he asked. The positions of the 5 captains were all occupied before, so the city lord naturally didn't need him to do anything for him. But now the city lord was short of men, so he had to call Tang Lian, who was quite capable and loyal. First thing first, regarding those people who sneaked into Hope City yesterday, I already know their identity and purpose. A group of gangsters in Hope City were dissatisfied with me and wanted to sneak attack and seize the city. They were killed by Xiao Xia and Zhonglin. I will give you 2 a credit, and the rewards will be cashed out after the new era. Li Shuo, Wei Qiliang and others still underestimated the city lord. They thought they would have no worries if such extreme weather sneaked in. In fact, the city lord knew about it as soon as they entered Hope City. He immediately sent Sha Xiaonuan to attack, but he did not expect that those people went to Zhonglin and most of them were killed by Zhonglin. Sha Xiaonuan only killed 1 person. But no matter what, most of the credit belongs to Zhonglin, and he has to admit it. You still owe me the reward for killing the corpse king before. Zhonglin muttered in his heart, but didn't say it out loud. After all, He had already set his sights on Hope City, and it would be pointless to covet this reward anymore. Secondly, the city lord continued, I am meeting with you to discuss the preparation of the city guard. He looked at Chingay. He knew very well what Zhonglin meant. Snort. The city lord couldn't help but snorted coldly, but now there is a vacancy among the 5 captains, so I want to appoint a captain first, Tang Lian, let's get to know each other, he will be the 4th captain in the future. Tang Lian stood up and nodded to everyone, hello, I am Tang Lian. I will work under the city lord from now on. Please take good care of me. Although he likes to keep to himself, he is no stranger to the ways of the world, and his words in the scene are very good. The city lord looked at everyone, especially Zhonglin, and asked, do you agree with Tang Lian's status as the 4th captain? In fact, this is redundant. Tang Liansai is ranked 4th. The top 3 captains will not have time to challenge the 4th. There is no benefit in that. The only person who could challenge him was Ji Yutong, an old salted fish. If it weren't for Zhonglin's mission, she wouldn't even want to be the 5th captain. Lu Dajiao and Xia Xiaonuan naturally agreed. Xia Xiaonuan didn't know yet that Zhonglin planned to seize Hope City. When there was no direct conflict between Zhonglin and the city lord, she would definitely be willing to support the city lord. Lu Dajiao was even simpler. He couldn't hold so many things in his mind. The moment he saw Zhonglin, he had only one thought in his mind, surpass him. Whatever the city lord said, he did. I agree, can I not agree with the candidate proposed by the city lord? Zhonglin said with a smile. The city lord did not relax his vigilance. He didn't believe that Zhonglin was so easy to get rid of. If Zhonglin approved of it, why would he bring Chingay here? Sure enough, Chingay stood up at this time. City lord, I want to challenge Captain Tang Lian. The face of the city lord under the silver mask instantly sank. Sure enough, Zhonglin really has plans. Tang Lian was also stunned. He looked at the graceful Chingay and frowned slightly, you want to challenge me? A person's appearance can be very confusing. After Tang Lian noticed Chingay, he was first attracted by her beauty. Her beauty radiates from the inside out, her facial features are exquisite and coordinated, her eyes are bright and energetic, her nose is straight and graceful, her red lips are glossy and hot, her face is small and smooth, and her body proportions are well proportioned. Although she is wearing sportswear, she has an air of a professional and elite style for women in the workplace. How can such a woman be capable of fighting? Tang Lian is not looking down on women. Xia Xiaonuan is a very powerful woman, but she is different from Chingay. She stood next to Zhonglin, as if she were the female secretary next to a big boss. It's really confusing. When the zombies were sieging the city, Chingay followed Zhonglin to help, but at that time she mainly assisted Zhonglin and did not show her strong fighting ability. At this time, the city lord was also a little confused. Zhonglin really wants Chingay to challenge Tang Lian. Is he so confident? Seeing that Tang Lian and the city lord were both silent, Zhonglin said, City lord, isn't it a bit against the rules for Chingay to challenge number 4 directly? How about letting her challenge Yutong first? The rules of the city lord are, people other than the 5 captains need to challenge the 5th captain first, and only after becoming captain can they challenge the captains in other positions. Chingay directly challenged Tang Lian, which was indeed a bit against the rules. But the problem is that Ji Yutong is also Zhonglin's person. Chingay challenges Ji Yutong. Isn't this Zhonglin's left hand fighting his right hand? City lord, if Chingay challenges me, I will admit defeat. Ji Yutong said with a smile. The face of the city lord's mask turned darker. No need, I set the rules. I allow Chingay to challenge Tang Lian directly. He suppressed himself forcibly to prevent anger in his tone. Zhonglin is indeed making progress step by step. On the side, Xia Xiaonuan said nothing. If anyone dared to provoke the city lord, she would directly go up and kill them. But if it were Zhonglin, although she was unhappy with Chingay, she would not ruin Zhonglin's plan, so she pretended not to see the city lord being bullied. And Lu Dajiao, he was completely distracted, thinking about how to improve his strength after the new era, and did not realize what the challenge at this time meant. As the city lord, Tang Lian naturally knew that his battle was related to the city lord's face, so he stood up and said to Chingay carefully, if you want to challenge me, then be prepared to die, I won't, I will keep it. And Qingge responded calmly, naturally. The conference room was not suitable for fighting, so a group of people came to the lobby of the city lord's mansion. In addition to being a residence for the city lord, it also served as an office. The hall was very empty. After moving the counters and rows of chairs in the hall, there was created a fighting space. The two stood 5 meters apart. The Anqing singer holds a long spear with red tassel, while Tang Lian's weapon is a long knife. From the perspective of use, ordinary people who have never practiced martial arts are more suitable to use knives, because knives are relatively simple to use, relatively low cost, and easy to obtain, so after the end of the world, most people's weapons will be knives. In comparison, guns are much more difficult to use. And Qingge is actually not very skilled now, but she is fast and can use her speed to make up for her technical disadvantage. The city lord didn't know much about Qingge's specific combat power, but seeing that Zhonglin and Qingge were so confident, he was inevitably a little worried, so he gave Tang Lian a look to remind Tang Lian not to underestimate the enemy. Tang Lian is a veteran, so naturally he won't make stupid mistakes. He takes the lead and rushes in quickly. He uses short weapons to fight long weapons. He must get close. Once he gets close, his advantage will be greatly expanded. Naturally, Qingge would not let him succeed. As soon as she saw Tang Lian's sudden advance, she stepped back lightly. At the same time, the spear in her hand pierced out like a swimming dragon, flashing countless phantoms instantly, which was dazzling. Everyone in the field was paying close attention to the battle between the two. Xia Xiaonuan clenched her fists unwillingly. This woman turned out to be a legendary template, that is, her experience is slightly less than mine, otherwise, I really wouldn't be sure to suppress her. The city lord watched Qingge's every move carefully. Zhonglin must have awakened the extraordinary template. He could see it, but this Qingge. He felt something like it, but wasn't sure. If Zhonglin can really awaken extraordinary templates on a large scale before the new era. He was secretly shocked, maybe, he can really become the savior of mankind. Lu Dajiao also carefully observed the battle between Qingge and Tang Lian. At this time, after a few rounds, Tang Lian was already at a disadvantage. Qingge was so fast that Tang Lian couldn't even touch her. In other words, Tang Lian is experienced and can fight with Qingge for a while. Once Qingge becomes familiar with Tang Lian's fighting style, Tang Lian is definitely no match for Qingge. At this moment, Lu Dajiao was a little confused. He secretly glanced at Zhonglin, feeling extremely aggrieved. I can't beat Zhonglin. He can't even beat his woman. In a moment, Tang Lian was defeated. He really tried his best, but he really couldn't beat Qingge, which meant that Qingge didn't want his life, otherwise he wouldn't be able to survive. I'm sorry, I've embarrassed you. He went to the city lord with a guilty look on his face. You can tell me if you have anything to do later. I promise to go up to the mountains of swords and the seas of fire without any hesitation. Today, I will leave first. Quote. Tang Lian really had no shame in staying any longer. After all, he was a reborn person and a well-known solo master in Hope City. The city lord trusted him and let him fight for him. However, he never beat a beautiful woman. It's not your fault. The city lord said calmly, you can go ahead. I will come back to you later if I have anything to do. Farewell. Tang Lian turned around and left without looking back. The city lord looked at Zhonglin and said softly, now Qingge is the captain of the 4th team. Zhonglin nodded with a smile and gave a thumbs up. The city lord is generous. As the city lord said before, the rules are set by him. He can actually modify the rules at will. 4 of the 5 captains are yours, right? Then I will directly change it to 10 captains, or directly cancel the city guard and change it. Or other names bad. But the city lord did not do this. Zhonglin still admires the city lord on this point. Xia Xiaonuan told him that the city lord was not weak at this period, but he just didn't want to take action. Now, Zhonglin is pressing harder and harder, and he doesn't want to directly use force to break the rules. This persistence is indeed quite awesome. Anyway, if it were Zhonglin, if someone dared to do this to him, let alone waiting until now, he would have been unable to resist and kill the person. This also verified Xia Xiaonuan's statement to a certain extent. She persuaded Zhonglin not to be an enemy of the city lord, because it was unnecessary. As long as Zhonglin showed great potential, the City Lord would definitely not be an enemy of him. Because the first goal of the City Lord is to cultivate strong people. As long as Zhonglin doesn't really fall out with the City Lord, even though Zhonglin is almost ignoring him now, in the new era, the City Lord may even continue to choose to help Zhonglin. Zhonglin didn't quite believe it before. In the end of the world, are there still such generous people? But now he was a little convinced. Facing Zhonglin's praise, the City Lord felt that he was mocking him. His thin lips under the silver mask pursed slightly and made a low, hum, sound. Don't worry, City Lord, Zhonglin, am also one of your captains. If anything happens to you in the future, just give me orders. Zhonglin naturally wanted to give City Lord Zhu some face at this time, so as not to make him angry and risk his life. The City Lord just thought that the dog farted. Now that the candidate for the fourth captain has been decided, let's talk about the establishment of the city guard. The city owner said lightly. After the new era, whether it is guarding the City of Hope, obtaining resources from everywhere, or cooperating with other human forces whenever a war breaks out, the strength of the city guards will be needed. You must select potential people from Hope City as your subordinates, train them well, and enhance the foundation of Hope City. After saying that, he turned around and went to the interior of the City Lord's mansion without even looking at Zhonglin. How many times have I experienced the end of the world and been reincarnated again and again? When have you ever experienced this kind of grievance? You boy, just wait for me, sooner or later I will get the place back. The City Lord swore fiercely in his heart. Everyone, have you heard what the City Lord said? Zhonglin shrugged and didn't care about the City Lord's attitude. He almost took away his Hope City, so why don't you allow his attitude to be worse? Go back and follow the City Lord's example. Do what you say. No matter how dull Lu Dajiao was, he felt something was wrong at this time. Seemingly, something extraordinary happened. I just need to find my old subordinates. You don't have to worry about the city guard. Lu Dajiao said to Zhonglin, turned around and left. Originally he should have reported this to the City Lord, but for some reason, he felt particularly comfortable saying this to Zhonglin at this time. Lu Dajiao left, and now in the City Lord's mansion, which belongs to the City Lord, the remaining 4 captains are all his own. Sha Xiaonuan is the first captain, Zhonglin is the second captain, and Qingge is 4th, and Ji Yutong is 5th. Should we take Lu Dajiao down too? Zhonglin suddenly felt that he had some obsessive-compulsive disorder. Why is this Lu Dajiao so annoying? Zhonglin, I'm going back first. Sha Xiaonuan stood up, said something very deliberately, then turned and left. Her intention was obvious, let Zhonglin pass. We're going back first. And Qingge naturally knew what was going on. She didn't want to argue with Sha Xiaonuan because Zhonglin didn't like it, so she took Ji Yutong's hand and the two went back together. Zhonglin also left the City Lord's mansion and went directly to Sha Xiaonuan's house instead of going home. Living room on the 2nd floor. Zhang Xiaonian was holding a basket of snacks and eating enthusiastically. There were no other entertainment activities now. Apart from cooking for Sha Xiaonuan, she just ate some snacks to entertain herself. I was enjoying my meal when suddenly Sha Xiaonuan came back. Auntie, you're back. Are you hungry? I'll cook vegetables for you to eat. She immediately greeted her with a flattering smile. She was young and had fully understood the ways of the world. I'm not hungry. I'm going back to the house. Don't disturb me. Sha Xiaonuan went back to her bedroom without even looking at her. That's weird. After watching Sha Xiaonuan enter the bedroom, she turned around and returned to the living room, continuing to hold snacks in her arms. She no longer wanted to escape. After Zhonglin left that day, Sha Xiaonuan gave her an awakening gem. She knew that such a precious possibility would not be available much in the new era, let alone now. And now Zhonglin took out 2 at once. These are elephant legs, you must hold them tightly. So, she completely resigned to her fate. Aren't you just serving Sha Xiaonuan every day? Hey, I'm happy. And Sha Xiaonuan didn't even let her do the test paper. The 3-year simulation of the 5-year college entrance examination is simply hell for an 11-year-old child. Although there are many memories in her mind that do not belong to this age group, she has been reincarnated so many times, and the apocalypse started when she was 11 years old, and she has never gone to school since. A 5th grade elementary school student with a college entrance examination question. Demon. When she thought of Zhonglin, her teeth started to itch. It's better to be Aunt. Although Xia Xiaonuan has always oppressed her, led her through life and death, and experienced countless crises, but now compared with Zhonglin, she really felt that Xia Xiaonuan was a super good person. Just as I was thinking this, the door was suddenly pushed open. Zhonglin pushed open the door and entered. Zhang Xiaonian suddenly tensed up and looked at him as if facing a formidable enemy. It's not good for children to eat so many snacks. Zhonglin frowned. I brought you a few more sets of test papers. You go back to the house to do the test papers. Write them carefully. I'll check them when I leave later. Woo. Zhang Xiaonian went back to the room sobbing. What can be expected is that she could not get out of her room before Zhonglin left. Zhonglin went directly to Xia Xiaonuan's house. In order to prevent the children from seeing things they shouldn't see, hearing things they shouldn't hear, and leading them into mischief, he also took great pains. He carefully flipped through the space ring several times before finding a few more sets of test papers. Why, when I go out to look for supplies again, I have to look for some winter and summer vacation homework, which will come in handy later. This time Zhonglin stayed at Xia Xiaonuan's home for many days. He and Xia Xiaonuan were very satisfied. They had not seen each other for a long time, and the night before could not relieve their lovesickness at all. Especially Xia Xiaonuan. For Zhonglin, he and Xia Xiaonuan had only not seen each other for a few months. Although they missed him very much, it was not to an exaggerated level. But it was different for Xia Xiaonuan. She had awakened many memories. Although incomplete, she also had a personal experience of the apocalypse she had experienced before. For her, she had not seen Zhonglin for many years. The most profound scenes in her memory now are about Zhonglin. She rushed all the way back to Chengdu and arrived at his residence, only to see Zhonglin turned into a zombie. She could only endure the pain and kill her boyfriend with her own hands. In the time that followed, she repeatedly took risks and looked for various opportunities. In order to resurrect Zhonglin, she paid too much, but she failed every time. Xia Xiaonuan really wants to be with Zhonglin every day now. The only thing that made her unhappy was that Zhonglin had too many women in this life. What a garbage system, it's so disgusting. She felt helpless about Zhonglin's family prosperity system. Because of this system, her boyfriend survived and gained great strength. However, the price is that he has many more women. She vented all her unhappiness on Zhonglin. In the past few days, Xia Xiaonuan was almost always the one taking the initiative, and she was very crazy. She seemed to want to drain Zhonglin completely so that he would not accompany other women after he returned. Zhonglin could only say that he really needed a golden gem. Although his current physique was high, it was not enough. Of course, Xia Xiaonuan's situation is even worse. Now she has no strength at all, lying softly on the bed, closing her eyes to rest, not even wanting to open her eyes. Have a good rest, I'm going back. Zhonglin felt that it was almost done, and he wanted to be soaked by the rain and dew, so he said goodbye. Before leaving, he leaned over and kissed her fair face. Xia Xiaonuan felt reluctant to give up, but she also knew that her boyfriend was a cruel person, and it was useless even if she tried to persuade him to stay, so she simply pretended to be asleep without saying a word, and waited until Zhonglin had gone away before she opened her eyes. Zhang Xiaonian, make me something to eat. A moment later, Zhang Xiaonian walked in with a pot of fried chicken. Her face was expressionless at this time, completely devoid of the excitement just now. When she saw Zhonglin finally leaving, she almost jumped with excitement. Finally, no more papers. She immediately fried a large bowl of junk food and prepared to reward herself. However, as soon as she picked up the first chopsticks, she heard Xia Xiaonuan's shout. Her face suddenly collapsed and she could only walk into Xia Xiaonuan's room with a pot of fried chicken. When she arrived in the room, the expression on her face suddenly changed, and she said obediently, "Auntie, there is delicious fried chicken and my favorite honey mustard sauce. You can eat it and replenish your body." Fried chicken. Xia Xiaonuan raised a brow. Forget it, let's eat together. Then, under Zhang Xiaonian's heart-wrenching gaze, she dazzled all the pot of fried chicken in one breath. She had consumed too much these past few days and needed to eat more meat to replenish her body. When Zhang Xiaonian saw this, Her heart was filled with pain and her face was filled with tears, but she did not dare to say anything and could only curse in her heart. Dog men and women. It is now the middle of a month of extremely low temperatures. At this time, the outdoor temperature has dropped to more than 50 degrees below zero. Even inside Hope City, there is ice everywhere and piles of snow. The indoor temperature was basically uncontrollable and reached below zero. When Zhonglin returned to number 16, there was basically no one in the living room. Everyone was hiding under the thick quilt. Now, unless it was to eat, drink or have love, basically no one would leave the quilt. Passing by the first floor, the empty shop floor was covered with floor mats. 7 or 8 women were huddled inside. They were chatting to relieve their boredom. When they saw Zhonglin coming back, they all stood up to say hello. Some even took the initiative and went directly to Zhonglin to deliberately greet him. He took advantage. There are a lot of dead people outside these days. Those who live in tents outdoors, if the quality of the tents is not good enough, the materials to keep out the cold are not rich enough, and the food is not much, they are basically dead at this time. But they can live a life without worries about food and clothing in their rooms. They know exactly who this life comes from. After being beaten in the apocalypse, most people's personalities will change, and it's not surprising that they would take the initiative to please Zhonglin. Naturally, Zhonglin would not be polite to them. He chatted with them, started doing it when it was time to do it, and kept it when there was an advantage. He thought he would collect some interest first, but did not take the next step. It's not that he can't do it now, but that he has developed a habit now. He will only touch people who have passed the system's judgment. After chatting with them, Zhonglin went upstairs. There were also some women living on the 3rd floor. He was too lazy to go up and went directly to the second bedroom on the 2nd floor. The bed here was changed into a datong bunk. When Zhonglin was at home, except for the person who accompanied him, everyone else would rest on this bed. When Zhonglin was away, they would divide into 2 groups and usually go to the bed. Rest in the master bedroom. There were 5 people here before, and now Bai Jiajia was added to the room. After Zhonglin entered the 2nd bedroom, he found that there were 3 people in the 2nd bedroom, and Bai Jiajia also had twin sisters. Husband, brother, X2. The 3 of them did not huddle under the quilt, but each wrapped themselves up like penguins and sat on the bed to fight landlords. When they saw Zhonglin coming back, they quickly jumped down to say hello. Especially Bai Jiajia, who had just agreed to be Zhonglin's wife that day and completed the couple's ceremony with Zhonglin, but Zhonglin didn't come back at all after coming for a few days. This made Bai Jiajia very melancholy. She finally understood why Chingay often called Zhonglin a scumbag. Zhonglin greeted them, stamped each person's face, then turned around and went next door. He was mainly looking for Chingay. Chingay, and Qingwu and Ji Yutong were in the master bedroom. They were not playing cards, but talking about something. Zhonglin opened the door and walked in. Chingay raised his head, his eyes full of surprise, "You're back." Then he said with some resentment, "I stayed at that woman's house for several days, and I thought you would never come back." This is resentment. Zhonglin quickly went over to comfort his eldest wife and made love to her for a while in front of Qingwu and Ji Yutong. Qingay hadn't noticed before because she was filled with joy because of Zhonglin's return. When she came back to her senses, she remembered that there were 2 people in the room, one of whom was her sister. Suddenly she was so embarrassed that she just wanted to lean into Zhonglin's arms and never get up again, but this was impossible. She had to suppress her shame, deliberately kept a straight face, and changed the topic. "You just happen to be back, and the 2 of them and we are selecting someone for you, come and take a look." There are a total of 15 women. Except for Bai Jiajia, who has successfully landed, the remaining 14 are still in the inspection period. In the past few days when Zhonglin was away, Qingay had been observing them, and also gave them psychological vaccinations in advance, asking them to do some psychological construction for themselves in advance. Now that Zhonglin is back, it's time to reap the rewards. She took out a smartphone and opened a document with high-definition photos and basic information on 15 women. She handed it to Zhonglin to see. 5 of them had information at the front, and they were the people chosen by Qingay. The first one is named Do Shujiao, 24 years old. She is a relatively petite girl with fair skin and a little baby fat. She was a clerk before the end of the world. She has been very honest these days, a little afraid of society, and has never been in love. The second one is Li Yulin, 27 years old, with an all face, big eyes, and a hot figure. She is an anchor, eloquent, and relatively honest. She has told the truth. She was engaged before the end of the world and lived with her boyfriend. The third one is Lu Ying, 20 years old, about 1.75 meters tall, with a good figure and pure and tender facial features. She has not graduated from college and has never been in love. She is from a rich family and came to Chengdu to travel. She will not be able to eat after the apocalypse. Less hardship, now as long as she takes care of food and shelter, she is willing to give everything. The fourth one is Lu Yuxuan, 28 years old. She has an outstanding temperament, a slightly plump figure, fair skin, and wears thick square glasses. She is a doctor and has good medical skills. She works as the director of the delivery room in a certain Renren hospital. Because she is busy with work and has some occupational diseases, she is still single. The fifth one is named Cheng Jixin, whose stage name is Bella. She is 21 years old. She is a part-time model for college students. She has straight and long legs, a slightly thinner figure, and a beautiful appearance. She is currently single, but she was with her boyfriend before. Lived together. After reading the specific information about these 5 people, Zhang Lin first pointed at Cheng Jixin and Li Yulin among them, remove these 2 and send them away when the low temperature period is over. And Qingge pouted, I didn't expect you to care so much about this. The 2 people he eliminated were both living with boyfriends. Zhang Lin smiled and said nothing. And Qingge directly deleted their information. Zhang Lin does have some misophobia in this regard. At the beginning, when he attacked Qingge and Ji Yutong, he didn't think much about it, because he was in urgent need of getting rewards at that time, and the 2 of them also gave him a surprise. But now, Zhang Lin is not in a hurry to get rewards, so he is qualified to choose women. Actually, Zhang Lin could give them a try, and if he could get a reward, he could send them away later, but Zhang Lin didn't want to be such a scumbag, so he just gave up. 2 were deleted, and now only 3 are left. This Lu Yuxuan must be taken down. She is the director of the obstetrics department and we will need it in the future. And Qingge said and touched his belly with a happy face. Although she is less than a month pregnant now, she still hopes to make preparations as soon as possible when it comes to her and Zhang Lin's child. Well, that's what I thought just now. Even if she can't trigger the system reward, I will accept her. Zhang Lin nodded and said, humans are different from animals. Animals can run away when they give birth, but humans cannot. Without the help of a doctor, there is no guarantee that the child will survive, let alone whether the mother will survive. So it is important to have a doctor. This Do Shujiao is also very interesting. She usually seems timid, but she had the courage to report an important news to me. And Qingge pointed at the petite girl again. There is a person named Shu living on the 3rd floor. She is not very peaceful. Now she has recruited 3 or 4 women to follow her. She wants to drive us all away. They have you all to themselves. Oh, that's interesting. Zhang Lin smiled. He didn't expect to recruit a talent. Unfortunately, he didn't like the harem to be on fire. It would be better for such a person to go to the braided emperor's harem. He didn't want it. What are you going to do with her? And Qingge asked curiously. Kick him out right away. Zhang Lin said decisively. He didn't like people who undermined internal unity and stability. Zhang Lin could wait for the extreme low temperature to end before sending them out. He might even send them some supplies as a kindness, but for people like Shu Liting, he didn't want to raise them for a moment, and if he didn't kill them directly, it would be considered a soft-hearted move by Zhang Lin. You'd better drive them out yourself. You've been too good to them during this period, so you can take this opportunity to establish your authority. And Qingge said. Well, okay. Zhang Lin nodded in agreement. When rice is promoted, favor is gained, and rice is criticized for hatred. Zhang Lin has never been a dog licker. He can be nice to his women, but he is not always nice to them. Those who can accept his rules and are willing to be his wives and let him get rewards, then he doesn't mind making them the happiest people in this end of the world. But if it's the opposite, Zhang Lin will also get rid of these people without hesitation. After not going home for several days, the women at home must be taken good care of. Zhang Lin is not in a hurry to take in Lu Yuxuan and the others now, but will take good care of Qingge and the others first. Zhang Lin called the 3 women next door over to chat and play cards together. The day passed quickly, and in the evening, Zhang Lin's time was naturally Qingge's. The other women went to the second bedroom obediently. But Qingge was quite resistant to this matter at this time. It didn't mean that she was not interested in Zhang Lin. She very much hoped that she would be the one accompanying Zhang Lin every night, but she was a little worried about the baby in her belly. In this regard, Zhang Lin could only persuade, "You haven't shown your pregnancy yet, it's okay." But Qingge was still a little worried. In the end, he just gave it to Zhang Lin once to comfort him, and then refused to say anything. She was a good sister who took care of her younger sister. When she saw that Zhang Lin was still very energetic, she took the initiative to go next door and called Qingwu over. "We are all human beings, regardless of gender. We all have needs in this area. There are many women in the family." It took several days for Qingwu to have her turn. Now Zhang Lin has not been home for several days. Forget it when she was single before, now that she has tasted meat, Qingwu also misses Zhang Lin very much. Amid the teasing laughter of the women next door, her heartbeat quickened and she came to the next room with a flushed face. She closed the door and turned around to see Zhang Lin sitting on the bed looking at her with a smile. "Brother-in-law, she is both," expectation called out shyly again. Hearing this title, Zhang Lin couldn't help but sit up straighter. This girl knows how to address someone, and just calling her can make him energetic. At noon the next day, Zhang Lin went to the 3rd floor, where Shu Liting and Zhu Qinshan lived. In addition to them, there were several other women, but according to Dou Shujiao, who complained, only 2 of them had love with them. In fact, Zhang Lin was very curious as to where Shu Liting's confidence came from. She actually wanted to drive away any woman except them and monopolize herself. Moreover, Dou Shujiao also said that their purpose did not stop there. In Shu Liting's own account, she is a blogger with hundreds of thousands of fans on a notorious social app. Her main job is to teach people how to ask for betrothal gifts and how to transfer their husband's property after marriage. The reason why Dou Shujiao knew her so well and couldn't help but report her was because she had followed Shu Liting. But after Shu Liting published several articles, she didn't approve of them, so she couldn't help but say a few words in the comment area. Then, Shu Liting directly mobilized fans to expose her true identity information, and she was raped online. That was several years ago. She said that the reason why she is so introverted, has low self-esteem and social fear now is because she was raped online by Shu Liting. But now Dou Shujiao met Shu Liting again, and Shu Liting was planning to have love with Zhang Lin. Dou Shujiao finally couldn't help it and complained to Qingge. She finally found a place where she could live a stable life, and she definitely didn't want to be ruined by people like Shu Liwan. By the way, Dou Shujiao also took out the smartphone she had kept and dug out the articles posted by Shu Liting that she had always collected. One of the articles was called, 2 months, turning a rich second generation into my dog. And Qingge was very impressed after reading it, and even conveyed it to Zhang Lin. Zhang Lin was really curious. What kind of talent did he recruit? I wonder if she can withstand his iron fist. Before taking the stairs to the 3rd floor, Zhang Lin heard Shu Liwan's voice. She seemed to know that Zhang Lin was back, and what she said was not good, so she deliberately lowered her voice. But Zhang Lin has very good hearing, and he can hear clearly even if he stands quietly in the corridor. "Sisters, you all know who I am. I am professional in dealing with men." Her voice was very seductive. "My boyfriend before the end of the world had hundreds of millions of assets in his family. But after he was molested by me, he bought me tens of millions of dollars in trust, followed my advice, and even transferred the house to my name." Shu Liting talked about her glorious achievements, and the contents she talked about were all articles she had posted on social apps. There are 7 women upstairs. In addition to Zhu Qinshan and the 2 women standing on her side, there are 3 others. But these 3 women were not interested in what she said at all, but because there were few people, they did not dare to offend Shu Liting, so they could only listen silently. On the side, Zhu Qinshan and 2 other women were still helping Shu Liting talk, trying to persuade the remaining 3 women to join them. Shu Liting even described a bright future, Sisters, think about it, as long as you all listen to me, we can successfully transfer Zhonglin. In the future, he will be beaten to death outside, and we won't have to do anything. How great would it be if he brought back all kinds of supplies for us to enjoy? As long as we unite and drive away all the women except us, it will be too easy for us to make Zhonglin obedient. Moreover, he is alone and has to go out to fight and kill. We are just a group of women at home. We unite and protect each other. How happy are those days? There are so many handsome guys who can't afford to eat in the apocalypse. We can choose whatever we want when the time comes. As she spoke, she winked at Zhu Qinshan. Zhu Qinshan also quickly took over the conversation, saying all kinds of confusing things. But the three women remained indifferent. Shu Liting was secretly worried. Sure enough, people will be more cautious after the apocalypse and will not be fooled by those who were before the apocalypse. That's right, it's a lie. Why do you want to flirt with a rich second generation? If she has that ability, why would she become a blogger and sell courses to make money? Also Tun Jie Zhonglin. She knew that even if she had 10 more courages, she would not dare to do so. Zhonglin was so ruthless in killing people. Her real purpose is also very simple, just to compete for favor. In the few days until the 16th, Shu Liting could no longer leave this place. She never wanted to live the days of wandering around outside, without clothes and suffering from hunger. And she wanted more. In Shu Liting's view, Zhonglin has too many women, and Qingge and the others became Zhonglin's women before she did, so they must be eliminated. You must first deceive a group of fanatical thugs and find a way to take away Qingge and others, and then slowly kill a few of them, until only you and 2 or 3 women are left. Of course, it would be best if she was the only one left. But she knew that this was impossible, and it was impossible for a person like Zhonglin to have only one woman. By then, Zhonglin will have 3 or 4 women left, and these women will listen to her. She feels that this is good. But Shu Liting didn't expect that her previous trick of fooling people on the internet would no longer work. After the apocalypse, everyone has learned to be smarter, and it's hard to be fooled now. Until now, only Zhu Qinshan and the other 3 women have joined her. There are 5 of Qingge and the others. How did Shu Liting know that Qingge could kill a group of them by herself? She had the same idea as Bai Jiajia before, that having more people was an advantage. Her original purpose was to win over the women on the 3rd floor and kill the ones on the 1st floor first, and then kill Qingge and the others. Sisters, you are so disappointing, I am worried for you. Seeing that the remaining women still did not act, she became anxious and quickly started to show off her acting skills, as if she was doing it for their own good, look like. But she didn't know that Zhonglin heard everything she said clearly in the corridor. Tease me. Zhonglin was confused. Is it because I can't lift the knife, or are you, Shu Liting, too arrogant? He didn't know Shu Liting's true thoughts. He only heard Shu Liting say that she wanted to make herself into a dog just like the rich second generation before. At this time, Zhonglin didn't know whether he should be angry or laugh. How confident she is. Originally, Zhonglin was soft-hearted and thought of driving Shu Liting out to fend for herself and not killing her. But at this time, Zhonglin suddenly felt that if he didn't kill this kind of woman, it would be a kind of pollution to the world. If you kill her, God will give you merit. Listening to the woman who was still praising people, Zhonglin finally couldn't stand it any longer. He took out the Miao Dao from the space ring and walked into the living room on the 3rd floor carrying it. What's the matter? You're the only one who wants to turn me into a dog. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.